What up? What's up, stalkers? What's up, stalkers? You stalking me, man? You stalking me because you're jealous? Yo. Yo, dickhead. Put me in Stranger Things. Can somebody find me a filmmaker, please? Please. I don't want to get old. I don't want to get old and not be able to do it. I want to kill the mind flayer. Come on, man. It's not that bad. It's Saturday. Stop. Where's everybody, man? Homeless hangout stream. There's nobody. Did you all freeze? Or is it just Aquarius season? Where'd everybody go, man? In Capricorn season, there were 30 people in the chat hating all day. It's like everything changed. It is negative 30 wind chill, I swear to God. My phone says it's negative 11 right now. Is this my mom? Is this my mom on the other end here? I recorded a 3-hour-long conversation with a therapist, and I told him the craziest thing I've ever believed. And he told me I don't have schizophrenia. My mom was under the scrutiny of the Vermont police for child abuse. And how she coped was being a victim at wit's end to her horrible son. Just like she was a victim at wit's end to her horrible boyfriend, my father. My aunt joined in. She was a victim at wit's end to her horrible boyfriend, and then a victim at wit's end to her horrible son. And then once she wanted to hang out with her grandson, Alex became cool again. But before, they were like, talking about them every single day. In trying to force the world to see her son in a way that wasn't true, she actually forced trauma on him that developed into serious disabilities. Isn't that crazy? I had a narcissistic mom that needed me to be the bad guy. The best way that she could convince people that I was the bad guy was perpetuating the idea I might have schizophrenia. She needed me to be schizophrenic so bad, she would lie to the police, which resulted in actual severe trauma. I literally can't see because she told them I had a grenade and was coming to kill her. Something about my YouTube channel and my YouTube channel growth makes her mad. She goes on the internet to her 14 friends with her 18,000 Facebook posts, yelling at her friends. And sometimes she'll sneak diss me. And all I'm trying to say to her is that It ruined my life. It really would be that I'd be at a party with a couple girls and they're like both laying on me like this and I'm really happy and everyone's like really happy I'm here. They're like, I can't believe you're here, man. And then my friend goes, "Why is your mom texting me that you have schizophrenia?" And I'm like, "How does she know that I'm happy?" And why, you know, what up, man? It's fucking cold, man. That rant's over. I'm done talking about it, but at this point I have to assume it's like something she's feeding off of. So it's also weird after everything on that historic moment stream. My ex-girlfriend and my cousin both got in the chat talking shit. I've learned that I don't have the mental illness that people tried to convince me I had. And the older I get and the more that I see of life, the more people I spend time with, and the greater distance I travel with more diverse people, the more I realize the entire thing was all their narcissism. And they couldn't actually see me for who I was and what I had to offer. You want to go to a Diddy party? I think it's too late to go to a Diddy party, Marcus. I think you should just start having your own Diddy parties. And put me in Stranger Things. I should have been in Stranger Things, man. Imagine the transfer student from Vermont. I look closer, isn't the guy who plays Steve Harrington 30 now, playing a 17-year-old? Don't I could play 17. I'm the Vermont exchange student that is in the DCF system. And Hawkins Lab kidnaps me because I ran away from home. And they inject me with the super serum or whatever that makes me whatever, and they tattoo 33 on me, and I'm the last one. No, I just do nicotine. And then in Hawkins' lab, trying to recreate what they did to with that rock that created Vecna with the Mind Flayer, they didn't account for one, I would be too old. Two, I'd been through too much trauma already to be MK Ultra'd. And three, the grief of everyone that I lost and the suffering that I went through alone developed me in a way that when they tried to get me with the Mind Flayer rock, it didn't work, and I became this glowing anti-Mind Flayer, this phoenix of the love that I held for people that I can no longer find in the world because they're dead. So that became this like fiery phoenix that rises out when I get angry and my nose doesn't bleed, my eyes glow. This bright gold, and I like this bright yellowish gold. So when the Mind Flayer tries to get me, it's like the PTSD of being homeless and alone. And I go, ah! And then it glows and starts to get the Mind Flayer, and then it freaks out and runs back and flies away. Wouldn't that be cool? And then the whole plot of Stranger Things is that they're together, and their togetherness and care for each other and the community is what helps them survive. But they can't beat the Mind Flayer because of that. It takes being alone. So it would be a play on the prejudice of the 80s communities back in the day. The stigma where the Stranger Things cast wasn't able, after everything they'd been through, they still couldn't see me. Because Eddie was the weird guy, right? Because of the Hellfire Club. And Jonathan was the weird guy because he was quiet. But even the Stranger Things crew thought the homeless guy was bad. And then it turns out that I was the key the whole time. I want to be in Stranger Things as number 33. Thanks, man. We're just hanging out. It's negative 25 wind chill right now, but it's going to warm up. I think it says it feels like negative 24 outside. But this is my 4th winter completely alone outside. This is my 12th year of homelessness. I didn't set up super chats because everyone would call me a freeloading bum. And YouTube would take 30%, but I have a Cash App and a Venmo. And I had a GoFundMe. I'm thinking about taking it down. I just got this car. So I was working 16 hours a day, top dasher in Plattsburgh, New York. And then my car was stolen. Because I'm kind of a genius. I'm traumatized, and sometimes now I have trouble with math after years of it, but back in the day, I did have savant syndrome, and I made a lot of money on crypto. I bought a nice car with it, a Dodge Magnum aftermarket, everything, $4,000 rims, $3,000 rims, but $1,000 worth of add-ons. And when I was DoorDashing, sorry, going to these small towns in New England with a drug dealer car, and then I get out and I'm wearing a chain, tattoos, Tim boots, smoking a Black and Mild. Yeah, they fucking ripped me out of the car all the day. Like, I was ripped out of the car once, and then I was tackled and searched once, and then the police would show up at my apartment in 2021 for 6 months, twice a week, saying there were noise complaints, but I knew I was completely silent. They were just trying to get in to see if I was dealing drugs. And it was also that, and there was a girl that kept coming over every week that was dark-skinned black. So they'd see the dark-skinned girl coming into my house. And then there was another dark-skinned girl that would come and hang out with us. And Officer Hamilton would follow us from downtown at the co-op buying fucking kombucha, and would follow us back to her house and would just stand there. And then I let the lease run out because I didn't want to be there anymore. I wanted to travel and DoorDash. I go stay at my mom's for the weekend. I wake her up and say, hey, I'm going to go get my car battery charger and leave. I come back and she has told the cops that I have a grenade and I'm trying to kill her. The cops pepper spray me, leave me in jail for 3 days without washing my eyes, and now I can't see. I'm trying to drive and do all this stuff I couldn't see. And the trauma from that, man, because would you guys consider if a cop makes you get on your knees and travel cuffs you and then presses his dick to the side of your face for 30 seconds, is that molesting? Because then I got molested. And then the news made a report that I was violent and out of control because when the cops grabbed me, I said, what are you doing? And I raised my arms up. I said, what are you doing? Just talk to me. I'm right here. So they told the news and they put a report out that I was violent and disorderly. And I was ultimately defeated after this horrible resistance against the cops. So everyone in my hometown turned their back on me, man. Everywhere I went from being like everyone was like really excited to see me to people wouldn't even look at me. So I just left. And then I traveling alone, freezing and homeless really got to me after years. I had short hair back then. My hair was like here. I still had the up like this, but the hair was like short at the sides and then down to the back. Thanks. So I just don't understand, man. My mom has posted on the internet, she doesn't watch my YouTube. But then if you look up her name, so when she's talking shit on the internet, you go to her Facebook or you just look up her name and you'll find a dozen different posts of her trying to gaslight people into believing that there's something wrong with me for sympathy. And she has a bunch of people in her comments saying, I'm so sorry, sending love to Casey. I'm so sorry he has schizophrenia. And I'm like, I've recorded 3 hours of a conversation with a therapist where I tell him the craziest thing, because I've seen aliens. I've went out in the woods and I've seen a 3-foot tall, looks like a kid, and I thought they had dreadlocks or like matted hair, but then you look further and you're like, those are porcupine quills, and it's just running through the woods. And I'm like, that's weird. But you look up, you just, hey Grok, did the native people that lived out in these woods believe that there were 3-foot tall porcupine people? And they're like, yeah, those are called pukwudgies. They're these little creatures that phase in and out of reality. And they look like humanoids that have these quills around them. You can just like Pukwudgies. The craziest thing that I've ever experienced is just everyday experience for a Native American that would live here. You know what I'm saying? One time I was laying in the woods and I see this golden light at my leg and I feel like I'm electrocuted and my leg jolts. And then I look down and then looking up at me in some spiritual plane is like a person bug. It's like an insect looking person. And it's just looking at me and then it looks back at my leg and then it jolts again and then my leg twitches. One time it was the middle of the night and I looked out the window of this cabin in the woods and I saw a humanoid thing that looked darker than dark, and then behind it was like a 9-foot tall praying mantis. And I looked at it and then it looked back at me and it showed me that the way that I was looking at it was consciously extending my will too far through the spirit, and it was like hitting it in the face. So it just bounced it back. This is what it feels like when you look at me like that. You're like drilling your consciousness into me. So it hit me back the same way and I was like, oh, and I learned how to not, that's why in India you don't give somebody something, you lay it on the ground and they pick it up to avoid that interaction. So I was like, okay. One time I was sitting in the car and I was like, if aliens are real, this is 2022, and if aliens are real and you guys are watching me, can I just see one? Who's gonna believe me? The homeless guy. No one's gonna believe me if I say that I saw an alien. So just let me see one. If you're just yearning to show yourself to a person because you're watching us, do it. And then I fell asleep. I woke up and there was a little praying mantis on the hood of the car and it was staring at me like this, following me everywhere I walked, and it wouldn't leave the hood. Even if I tried to scare it away, it wouldn't budge. And I was like, I took out my phone. I was like, fuck your life. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong. What are you doing? And then I walked into the store, came out, and it was still there, hung out for like 20 minutes until I wasn't interested in it anymore. Then it left. And I was like, that was cool. But then I'm scrolling, scrolling, and then I see Joe Rogan talking about, he's talking to some guy, and then he looks at the camera and goes, what if praying mantises are actually aliens? And they're actually like 10 feet tall and stronger than a tank that we can't penetrate. And they could totally kill us if they wanted to. But they send little ones to see how we would react to something that looks so different to what we experience daily. And I'm like, okay, I mean, those two things in one day, kind of weird. But then that night, I watched Nope by Jordan Peele, which is about a UFO. It's a Western about a UFO. And in that, they're trying to get this UFO on video. And when they tried and they were going to get the UFO on video, they set a trap for it and everything. The camera was pointed right at it. A praying mantis blocks the camera and is just staring at the camera, blocking the UFO the whole time. So I was like, okay, Jordan Peele in the movie about aliens, the praying mantis aliens block them from recording the UFO. So I was like, okay, there's something there. And then 2 years go by, and then I see the giant one in the woods. And then last year I was laying in the tent. I woke up, and in spirit I saw a praying mantis over my head, bearing down on me. And then I felt like a jolt, like, and then my arms went like literally like the praying mantis arms. And then I was like, stop. And then I saw a blue alien with a spear come out of the ether like a fireball, whoosh, and then attack it with the spear, and then they both disappeared. Come to find out, the Avatar series is about blue aliens. Jake the dog from Adventure Time is a blue alien. Doja Cat in Demons dresses herself up like a blue alien. Brendan Urie in Panic at the Disco in his video Emperor's New Groove dresses himself up as a blue alien. Those are the things that I saw. Exactly what they look like is what I saw. And they were mad at the praying mantis for trying to possess me. That's the craziest shit I've seen, but there's all these receipts on the internet of other people having these experiences, exactly the way that I had those experiences. So I don't know what it is. And the thing that the therapists say differentiate me from real schizophrenics is that I can clearly say I have these experiences, but I can also have the mind to say, that's weird, but it doesn't affect me. It's like, that's crazy, but also how many people are going out and living in the woods? When you ask people that go out and live in the woods, they say, yeah, we have these experiences. When you ask the native tribes of the people that lived in these areas, they're like, yeah, we have those experiences. The thing that differentiates me from a real schizophrenic is that I'm experiencing things that lots and lots of diverse people experience, and it doesn't affect me. I'm able to look at it with a sound mind and say, yeah, I have these experiences, but I'm not seeing things that aren't widely seen. I'm not experiencing things that aren't widely seen. It's not just me. It's not just schizophrenics. It seems to be every single people but the people who invented psychology. The thing I say is that 90% of the world believes that they're talking to a God that is speaking back to them. But I have schizophrenia. So after all this, plus the therapist, plus the removal of the diagnosis from my suicide attempt, they assumed I was bipolar when I was taken by DCF custody from my mom. I didn't tell them that I had done acid, and I wasn't able to correctly articulate that I had used my ability to create imaginary friends, and that was not like they were literally speaking to me, but I had role models like TV show characters. And when I went through my everyday life, I found that it was easier for me to tell jokes. It was easier for me to create things. It was easier for me to flirt with women. It was easier for me to do and this was back when I was 14. It was easier for me to do things I wanted to do when I held the character of the people I wanted to be like sort of around me. So as I'm going through my, like when people say, you always have to think about what would Jesus do? I would think about what would this character from a TV show do? So I sort of imagined them like they were floating beside me, like an angel on my shoulder. And that helped me to constantly stay in frame, to be able to... This is a psychiatrist off the top rope with his signature move, the reverse diagnosis. That's incredible, man. Hey, you have somewhere to stay during the freeze? I offered my car to all the warming shelters, and I went and checked them out and talked to all the staff. I hung out with them while we waited for people to show up. Oh, I have... Holy shit. I went off on the Democrat protesters in town, and then they quit. I swear to God. I was at the laundromat. Someone had taken my toaster oven. I swear to God. Car pulls up next to me. I feel the energy of Satanism. I'm like, that's weird. Why do I suddenly feel fear from this car? Things don't feel right anymore. Something's going on. I feel it. I look over at the car, and the guy's got like devil tattoos. He's got a skull hanging from his mirror, and he's twitching next to me. And he's just like a normal dude. He looks like he's in his 30s. He looks like a functioning adult. Hygienic, nice clothes, but he's got obvious satanic symbolism everywhere. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I back the car up, and immediately somebody slams into the car. I look over. I'm like sandwiched between the car and the other car, and the guy's license plate says 666, and he's looking through the mirror, smiling crazy. Swear to God. Swear to God. The classic. He's a functional adult, but then when he's near me, he's like twitching, and like his head is kind of moving towards me. He's not on drugs or anything. I just know that he's like unconscious. He doesn't know what's happening. It's something spiritual that I don't know how to fully articulate, but I can tell you that the pattern and the orchestration of these events happens so often, I'm able to predict it, man. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's something in the electromagnetic spectrum that we don't have the capacity to see right now, but we're going to see it. Bad bitch, where do you live? It's kind of far-fetched, but it's just so much stuff has happened in the past years like this. And I'll go to a church, and I'll sit down with the people in the church, and I'll ask them like, okay, this is what I've experienced. I'm basically on the spiritual front lines here. I'm outside of society, moving through it. These are the things that I consistently experience, where when I stay out in the woods, it feels like programming sheds off. My ability to create happens. I'm able to warm myself up with just my thoughts. I feel like this big, bright light. I'm just creating music and dreaming about all the cool things I could do. And then eventually I get to a point sort of like it refines into like this really warm peace inside. And that makes the crows angry. If I take that into town, people will get triggered and follow me through grocery stores. If I'm in an empty parking lot and I feel it, people will suddenly pull up next to me, and there's a guy shooting up heroin next to me, and I can feel it, the pull from it. I try to get away. Sometimes if I'm making a good song, I'm driving the speed limit, everything's fine, car's legal, but then a cop pulls me over for something, and he's slamming on the window, and I can just feel the drain. Everyone that was friendly to me prior, when I have this inspired, possibly anointing, they get angry and bitter and controlling and trying to box me in and talking shit behind my back. Really just dramatic kindergarten level stuff that I see consistently. So what I'm asking you, like, I'll give them the whole rundown of an event, and I'll be like, what does that feel like to you? And you just have to trust that I'm telling the truth, because I am. And they say that basically that's just stuff that's of the world. People that don't have a good connection with stuff that's not from the world feel jealous and trapped by the world. So when they see you not living that way, it creates a fear response in them, and they have to take it from you and destroy it, and they don't realize that's what's happening. They've said things like, I bet you are in like parking lots and people will just be standing in front of the car, and they don't realize that they're standing right in front of your car, but you can see it. And I'm like, yeah, I do have videos on my phone now of me sitting in the parking lot, and I feel safe and happy, and then someone smoking a cigarette will like walk backwards directly in front of the car and twitch, and he keeps like stomping backwards, almost like he doesn't know because he's looking over here, but something clearly just walked him in front of the car, and now he keeps stomping towards me, taking a step backwards, like horses do with that. So the point is when I left that situation with the guy with the 666 and all that shit, and I felt weird about it, so I was like, let's just get away, and then suddenly a random person smacks into my car. I drive down the road, in the middle of town, there's a bunch of protesters for democracy, fighting for democracy. And if you haven't seen in this town, that's funny. I was just talking about the people standing in front, and then it's an empty parking lot, and somebody is pulled up and is parked right in front of the car. It is what it is. So I park in the middle of the road right on Main Street, and I'm like, hey man, I'm homeless. Does anybody have any gas money? Because they're Democrats, right? I was like, hey, I'm homeless. Do you guys have any gas money? Because they've seen me without the car. They saw me when my car broke down in town. They saw me struggling to get a job every day, applying to every business in this town, walking around, trying to get my needs met. They saw me constantly have people try to hit me with the side mirror of their truck walking down the road. They've seen me suffering for a year now because nobody would hire me. They saw me get attacked by somebody in the laundromat and win the fight because they thought I was a junkie because I was homeless. And I said, hey, I'm just trying to get a job. I'm not homeless. I'm in here trading stocks on the internet. And he attacked me with a baton. They saw me, a few of them I asked, I was like, hey, do you guys remember when they twisted the brakes off my bike and I crashed coming down the hill outside the church? And a couple people were like, yeah. And I was like, so you left me there unconscious? And he was like, yeah. They left me there unconscious after falling 10 feet because somebody took the brakes off my bike and I didn't check it in time. So I crashed going 50, got knocked unconscious, woke up with a bunch of hairline fractures, had to crawl up onto this cement manhole thing in this field, and then I had to limp over to the outlet, charge my phone, and call the ambulance. And hundreds of people drove by. People stopped at that intersection, heard me screaming for help with the windows down that summer, and just drove off. So basically I said, you guys are a bunch of lemmings, you're phonies, you're full of shit. I'm here donating my time to bring people to the warming shelter. I could use some gas money. Does anybody have $5? And they got very prideful. And then she said, you should be in. And I said, you should keel over and die, and then my generation will make the country better. So then I drove away for 1 minute just to go try to return cans at the bottle return place for gas money. I turned around and they all left. They dispersed. A bloodstone gemstone. People have told me for a couple weeks, people have been saying I need obsidian. Main character shit. I dispersed a protest on accident. Made him feel bad. I didn't have all messages on, my bad. You might be a chosen. The enemy wants to keep you from getting spiritually strong. I don't know, man. At the very least, I have something that attracts narcissists, and they need to keep me under their control. And I think being outside in the isolation for a long time has developed a spiritual sense. Maybe it's the sun in the 8th house in astrology, but for whatever reason, I'm able to see when somebody's energy is coming at me and trying to dig in. And I try to block it or use it or channel it or do something with it. And then those people will usually fall into psychosis. I'll feel a spiritual attack from somebody, and it could be somebody hundreds of miles away. It's not all the time. Sometimes it's constant, sometimes it's not. But then after a few days, when it passes and I feel good again, I'll go on Facebook and see that person, right after I felt that, so right after whatever that moment was, you can see the timestamp. Within a half hour of feeling like I got energetically drained in spirit by somebody, that person is on social media spamming posts, spamming comments, going across Facebook, sort of riding that high for the stimulation, that heroin gives you. Social media stimulates the same part of the brain heroin does. It's also, I think, when they feel, if they do feel like they've stolen the energy, they try to channel it, and it's called individuating, where they change their character in the minds of the people. So they try to go and be like, I'm this new person now. I'm going to say the funny things and, you know, try to make a change so that people see me differently. And then usually a year will go by, and they're, you know, sometimes it'll take a year, but those people are always worse than they were prior to that moment. But then it's like if I have relationships with people, like a work environment, or I'm staying with somebody, that happens way faster. It's within hours usually, where I channel everything into making a song or creating something. As soon as there's a goal, so I have something in front of me that I'm excited towards, so there's this excited high vibrational thing and I'm going for it. As soon as I make the decision to go for it, usually it creates this like adverse where everybody seems to become more dramatic, more passive aggressive, more angry, more coming at me about stuff. And it's all to kind of get fear back. So I don't know if I'm a chosen one, but I think that I do things that trigger a response. And it seems to be like the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things. Where'd I put me fucking key? It's right here. I need to charge me device and warm up because it's negative 10 degrees out. What in hell? What in tarnation? Where's this shit? I might just piss in the car. It's fucking cold. Crystals are a natural resource and useful as humans are the ones that hold the energy and power. Yeah! I know that your environment affects your spirit. So, having symbols in your house and idols and effigies and crystals and stuff, when you look at it, it changes the structure of the energy that is passing through us. Do I think that crystals are transmitting frequencies and dispelling things? I'd have to figure out if it can hold an electrical charge. Like if you can find clearly that there's a change to the crystal based on external stimuli, yeah. Bro. My bladder holds like 32 fluid ounces minimum. I never have a jug big enough to store all my piss. Watch on my wrist is yes. True. Also a watch. Watches are, I know people use watches for spiritual stuff. That's why they made Vecna all about time, because of the 666. So time is like an instrument for control over the infinite. So people have those watches because it does something. He said that's fucking gross. Hey, the only reason you guys are here is because I took a shit in the woods 2 years ago. I took a shit in the woods and got 1,000 views. I didn't get any views until I shit in the woods. Once I shit in the woods, we were off to the races, man. And I know everyone on their Saturday just watched me pull my dick out and piss in that building. And that's really not my fault if they watched. Meow, 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 meow. All right. Let's put you back. Sending something sinister down the spiritual pipeline. Come on. Don't do this to me. It might work. That might be real. I don't know. I knew it. You're forcing me to vape. Stop it. Cancel the hex. I'm about to vape. I'm gonna do it. I will vape, I swear to God. Chat, it's happening. I thought this was my vape. It's a deodorant wipe. You think I'm gonna use it? Nope. Because I like my Elon Musk, okay? And so does your mom. Where am I? I'm in a car. Hanging out. Kickstart. Where's my Mountain Dew kickstart? Oh, it fell. Felon degenerate. Evil Musk. Okay. Stop spinning. Right round, baby. Right round. I made him long for vaking like he made the protest stop. I did, though. Within minutes of calling the protesters phonies and saying that when they die the country will be better because they're the ones ruining it. And you're old. Protesting's not gonna do anything. It's just for social media clicks. You feel me? Social media light. You're doing it so that you make the news. You don't care. Because if you cared, you'd be with me over at the homeless shelter trying to get these people in the beds. Peaches coming to Canada. They were put there by a man. I get my peaches down in Georgia. Comb your beautiful hair. Where's my, I don't know where my brush is. I just asked you like you knew. I literally asked you if you knew where my brush was. I'm gonna vape. No, I was mad that the townspeople were protesting, but I suffered here from prejudice for a long time, and they all drove by me and nobody said anything. Nobody stopped the car and were like, "Are you okay, man? I've seen you around. You're not, I know you're not from here. What's going on?" And I would be like, "Yeah, man, I'm just trying to, do you know anybody that has work? My car was stolen and it had my birth certificate, so now I don't have 2 forms of ID. I can't find a legal job, and I've been waiting for my birth certificate in the mail for 6 months. I have all these goals and dreams I'm trying to make, but I physically can't work because of the lack of 2 forms of ID. Do you know anyone who would give me an opportunity under the table?" But instead they drove by and splashed water at me, tried to hit me with the side mirror on back roads, false police reports, trespassing everywhere. I put my tent. And then when I left, I went 110 miles I walked. And it was worse and worse and worse until I was forced back here because this was the shiniest of all the shit. You know what I'm saying? So I asked them for gas money so I could continue giving homeless people rides to the warming shelter. And then I came back because I was going to go stand with them and hold a sign afterwards. He would walk 500 miles. He didn't go far enough. Well, I have people that I had people in the area I was trying to save. And I wanted to do it here first, because it's a small state with the second to lowest population in the country. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to build something that would set an example with a control group, like if I was to try to uncover and solve the homeless crisis. I'd want to do it here, because when you have something that's clearly visible with such a control group, okay, this is communal town prejudice, this is people suffering in the woods, this is heavy drugs here, this is a lot of land owned by rich people, and people are dying from freezing to death, trespassed, and laying in a ditch. Even though there are probably you drive through towns and it's completely empty because rich people own the entire town and they only come there twice a year for maybe 2 weeks at a time. Probably less than twice a year. Yet people can't find housing and they're dying from it. If I could make a change here and systematically have a functioning system to get people in my situation to their dreams, that would set an example for the rest of the world. So that was part of it. The other part of it is, yeah, it costs like $1 million to live here. A typical home in the community, like in this town, a typical home is more than $200,000 easily, like $300,000 to get like this house right here, probably $400,000 right there. And then property taxes are well over 10%. So it would be like, it's not well over 10%. I think they had a 10% increase in property taxes this year. I don't know what it actually is, but I know that owning a piece of land that's like 10 acres is still about $7,000 in property tax a year, just to continue owning it and not have it seized by the US government. To own land and not go to jail, you have to pay them a ridiculous amount of money. So at the very least, I wanted to just go through it and see if I could figure stuff out. And I also wanted to see what it was like, and I saw it as a rite of passage, and I wasn't in a good place. So I wanted to get to a good place from the ground, because if nobody was going to help me like that, I couldn't just go work at a farm, live on the farm, save up money to get a car, and then travel with my skills I learned from the farm to go work on other farms. If they weren't going to let me do that, and I had to literally just be on the ground, I was like, maybe there's a reason for it, and that it's actually a cool experience at the end of it, and it will be like a rite of passage trial, like a wilderness journey. So at the end of it, I have this really cool idea for wagons, because the biggest stigma towards homelessness, part of it is the campsites, and part of it is that they're dying and they don't have a way to feel safe. So if they're not going to get housing, because the government got $400 million from the federal government to end the homeless crisis in the state, and what they did was give it all to motels that would torture and rape the people inside. One of the motels that I went to, and I knew that guy, he had drugged, at this point, probably dozens of women, because every day he gave me coffee too. Every day he would come give us coffee, and one of those cups he would drug, and then he would go in like an hour later and he would rape the women. And finally he got caught, but we don't know how many people he did it to. Some of those places, it was crazy. I got some of it on camera, but it was not good for the homeless people. And mainly they were kicking out everybody that wasn't giving them free drugs. So a lot of the motel programs was people getting a shit ton of money from the government, and they were also getting a shit ton of money from drugs and sex trafficking. Literally. Isn't that crazy? They were running brothels and shit in that motel. The motels did not become a way to help the homeless, it became a way to exploit them. So my idea is to build a collapsible fold-up wagon rickshaw that can have a 4x8 tent, and it can have a portable battery. It can't be slashed and ripped apart and have their stuff stolen. It locks, and you give a spare key to the homeless program in case you lose it. Instead of having a tent campsite where you spend your food stamps on a bunch of chips because that's the only thing that won't go bad, and then throwing your trash out, either because you're mad at the people, you're depressed and it piles up, and then you're just like, get it out, I'll fix it later. Apathy. Or sometimes it really is like how animals build nests. They extend their nest further than their living space because it gives them a bigger feeling of safety. That feeling of safety is inside. They don't feel safe. So part of extending their nest and like making a mess does give you this subconscious feeling of a greater presence. Which is why back in the day people would inscribe runes on the trees just around their living space and stuff. And witches would put the little totems on trees around their witch hut and stuff. Because there is a subconscious feeling of the extension of your will that way. So part of that is like throwing the trash out. It's a bunch of different things, but part of it does give you this bigger sense of belonging in that area, I guess. I don't think they're doing it. Some of them are doing it consciously, some of them aren't. But that all goes away when you live in a wagon, and that wagon has a little compartment in the back with a big trash can that you throw your trash into. Give me an example. An entire neighborhood owned by BlackRock. Which city? I mean, BlackRock may not own the property exactly, but they own the insurance company, the mortgage company, the grocery stores that you get the food from, the government that is enforcing the taxes, and they're receiving part of that tax money. So they might not own the wood that the house is made of, but they own the lumber company responsible for obtaining that wood in some way, whether it's by taxing and forcing them to pay insurance and regulating. They have some form in managing pretty much everything. And now I'm smelling some chemical I don't understand. I think it's the piss with the coffee. Yep, it was the piss. The heat was warming up the piss. Now I'm just going to carefully place this under the car, and I'm going to come back and get it later. When I go into town. Truth, super facts. You want proof I do it? Look, you remember the other day when I ran over my piss can? It's not there, is it? I went back and cleaned it up, man. Meow, 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 meow. Try vaping my piss? I just did on accident. I was inhaling urea. Is that what it's called, man? Chat. Capricorn season's over, man. It's Aquarius. I felt it. I know you felt it. Can someone reach over and turn off this back wiper? It's annoying. Come on, guys. It's annoying, man. Living in the car is great. I love it, but I hate the people that try to make it worse. Living in a car is amazing. Living in a car in a community that will key the car, kick the car, call the police on you, trespass you down the road, try to take the car from you, false police reports, will trespass you from the gym just because of your situation and nothing else, nothing about your character. That sucks. Also, it's lonely. Because I love it, but I know I wouldn't want to subject somebody else to living in the car with me. Once there's somebody else in the car, everything sucks. When you're alone in the car, it's great. Like if there was a girl in this car, I would get an apartment next month. When there's two people in the car, it's very depressing. Being alone in the car is great. It's really fun, it's an adventure, it's really cool. When you have to have a relationship in the car and you're like managing your day and what you're gonna do and your life, building a life with the person in the car, that sucks. But yeah, the only way it would work having a relationship in the car is if you romanticize your life to a point that you enjoy it in a delusion. Like trying to live the everyday life of like working and having a social life and going to events and then you go back and live in the car is tough. But if you're people that go to festivals and you do car camping, you're having that experience for the weekend and you love it. So maybe it's just kind of, you'd have to structure your life like that. It's tough. Julie King. I've got a couple designs for it. Basically, it's like a piece of plywood, 4 hinges. So it's got a middle part and then like a fold-up table. It folds out, and then when you're done with it, it folds down. The wheels that it's on, and it will have framing on the bottom to keep it supported. The wheels that it's on come apart like a Lego skateboard, so you just unclip the wheels, take it off, and then it clips on to one of the boards on the side. It also has a way to clip your backpack on it, a duffel bag on the side, trash can. And then the tent rolled up, the mattress foam rolled up, and then there's a little storage compartment inside. Once it's folded up, there's still a little storage compartment, so it's only about a foot once it's folded up. It's like a foot by 1 by 9, but it folds out into a 4.5 by 10, or 4.5 by 9. Those little wheels that you put at the bottom of like tool cabinets, those like screw-on wheels. And then you can either carry it like luggage, or if you don't want to collapse it, you keep it staying folded out, and it's got these 2 broom handles, wooden broom handles that extend out and lock, and then you carry it like a rickshaw or a wheelbarrow. And that's all it is. If you want to put a roof on it, like put more walls with hinges that just fold onto the sides, and then it all folds together, you can. And then you can put a roof on it, solar panels. Then the roof just folds in, then the walls fold in, and then it folds down. So I could do it with a piece of paper. but I don't know where my paper. Oh, there's one right here. Cool. I have a pen. Senor, Monsignor, do you have a pen? I have a shit ton of pens, but I lose them because they fall out, man. Bro, I'm gonna have to go to the front seat. Bruh. Bruh. Un lápiz. Okay. You're a master builder like the creator. I want to be number 33 in Stranger Things. I muted. How long was I muted? So, basically, hold on. I have to tighten it like this. Okay, now we're good. So, this is a top-down view. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll be 2 feet each. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a 4x8. It's cut like this. This is all wood, but there are hinges here on the bottom so it doesn't affect this. Mattress foam topper that goes on top of it, or we could cut a twin mattress and sew it together that goes on top to sleep on. Then these hinges fold down so it looks like this on the side, and here are the hinges folded down. On the bottom of it, so once it folds down, so really it folds up, but then you flip it so it's down. So on the bottom of this platform, you have straps to hold your rolled up tent, your shovel if you need a shovel or something, backpack holder. You have that storage on the side, whatever you need it for, customizable. We'll figure out the best thing. Definitely your tent, and a bag for like your important belongings that you don't want to just whatever. On the back here, so let's say this is the side of it, so we're looking at, this is where the 4x8 tent is. You have a wooden part right here that holds your trash can. Here's the trash can. If you need a needle box extension to it, needle box, trash can. It's got, here's the, below it, we have just bike wheels. And here's the axle for it. It's connected here. The wheels connect to it by a, you know, like a Lego skateboard. So here's a Lego skateboard, and it comes down like this, and then it's got clips that the wheels clip onto that you can take the wheels off whenever you want. So the wheels, it's like a fence gate or a latch, or you could do, I'm thinking like a fence gate. I'm thinking something bigger than a fence gate, but it's the same type of thing where you just push down on it and then it opens up the bar. So here's this, when you push this lever down, it pulls this out so that you can take the wheel off. Then on this, on the other side, so here's the other side, you clip the wheels on. On the bottom here, so once it's folded up, on the sides here there are 4 little wheels that you can just bolt on. They make them for like wooden platform carts. It's not expensive. It's just like a plastic wheel with a metal housing and then a place to bolt it on, screw it on whenever you like, that you can take off and put on. So that's there, and then it has the handle like a suitcase on the side to pull it like a suitcase. I would also put a connector so that once it folds up, it stays in place, and that could be even just like a big piece of Lego that presses together. So you just take the tent out, fold it up, lift this, fold it in, attach the tent to the side, attach your belongings to the side. So it would be the tent, the mattress topper, your tools on the other side, the wheels. In the back is the trash can. Also, if you don't want to do that and you just have the wagon here with the tent and the trash can and the wheels with the foldable legs, so legs that fold out, like I have a somewhere over here, I think I just put it, I don't know where I put it. Oh, right here. It's got like this. Bam. Legs like that. Come on, man. So it's got those legs right here for when it comes out. Then it's got 2 broom handles that you just grab and carry. You fold the legs in, and then you can just walk it like a rickshaw. So when they say, "You're trespassing, meh, 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 meh," and you have to leave, instead of leaving everything you own behind, you just lift up and then you walk to the edge of the property line on parcel maps, and you find this is the place you trespassed, and you just put it right here. I'll do the roof thing too. So if you want walls to it, so come on, man. If you just want to add walls like that with like a little, you want to make like a cool roof, you just add the hinges on it. So here's the roof and the wall. You just put a hinge right here on either side, so the roof comes apart. These fold in. Then there's hinges here too, so then the walls fold in on top of the platform. Then when you lift the platform up, it all collapses back with this, but with these on the inside of this. Foldable wheels, maybe. I want to build the foldable platform first and then figure out, but it probably will just be detachable. I didn't mean to pin that, which is pretty cool. We're supposed to get a foot of snow, and there's a show tonight, but there's no fucking... I'm supposed to shovel when it snows. There's no snow. Fuck, how long was I muted? I was saying it just depends on the amount of money I have. Then you could get off-road tires if you want. Then you could put a Jackery solar panel so you could fall asleep at 6 a.m., wake up at 2 p.m., and you have your Jackery charged from the sunlight. It eliminates the need for drama. It also makes it so people can't arrest you in your domicile. So it eliminates what the cops did to me. They can't rip open your tent and mace you because they would need a warrant. Which gives you a feeling of dignity and safety again. So you stop living in survival and you can actually have clarity to make decisions. Did anyone see where my vape went? It's right here. So that's what I'm thinking about. Tent sticks forming the roof and netting along with strings to steady the frame in the wind. The wheels can be legged and stored under the cot, fully integrated in warming function. Yeah, the base model. And then the walls in the roof prevent arrest without a warrant. They can't enter your domicile to arrest you without a warrant. It violates your Fourth Amendment right, which is still applied to tents, but tents on somebody's property. There's a gray area there, but having this walled structure gives you your Fourth Amendment back, so that they can't just subject you to torture without a warrant. Which forces the corrupt police to have to do the decent thing of just calling you and not playing these stupid games. They have to be friendly and courteous like a traffic stop for this wagon. The problem is that people destroy tents. People go up and cut tents to pieces, steal everything they own, and then drop a trespass notice. With this wagon, that makes it much harder to do. And even if they try, it's easier to replace. If they kick one wall in, you can get that wall out of any. You can build the wall out of anything, because you have the hinges and the other rest of the structure. Instead of them destroying a tent, and now you need to replace the tent because ticks are crawling in, and mosquitoes and shit. I was muted. Am I still muted? No, because yeah. I'm just trying to do this first, which is literally just a fold-up platform with a tent that you can put a tent on with the mattress, which is like one of these that you can carry around with the trash can. And the trash can has to have a lid. Ugh. You could also have it so one of those things is that the trash can is going to have to need some type of latch, because it'll be one screw in. That way when you fold it, it turns, but then you need a way to lock the trash can once it's upright, and then lock the trash can once it's in the folded position when it turns 90 degrees to the left. I've had a cardboard dollhouse for the kids. Yeah, it's like that. It's like the fold-up dollhouses that they have, the kids' toys. I just don't have anybody with the funds to make it. If I made a GoFundMe to make the prototype, do you think anyone would do it? I posted that GoFundMe for like a few months now. Nobody's donated. My mom is using it for more sympathy, to continue perpetuating the idea that she's a victim and not just a bad mom. And the whole point is just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. That's all I ask from my mom. Just leave me alone. Stop. Stop it. That's all I've ever asked, to be honest. I didn't ask her to pay insurance for the car, or I don't think I even asked her for the storage unit. She bought me a storage unit for like 4 or 5 months once. Didn't ask for that stuff. I just asked, please leave me alone. I asked my aunt if I could keep my stuff in her basement because she has a big basement full of kids' toys. I think she planned on selling it at some point because I used to do tag sales, but now there's an entire basement full of kids' toys. Like, I'm talking like the size of a small apartment, like bigger than a studio apartment she has in her basement. And I just have like in one little cubby, I have my bench press, punching bag, pull up and dip bar, radio, bunch of CDs, my Xbox and PlayStation are in there, maybe a couple bags of clothes, and like my sentimental stuff. So I did ask her for that. And the plan is, I mean, there are people interested. I figure the universe gave me the answer. The reason that the government didn't have any options for me and I couldn't buy this land the way that I wanted to was because I needed to understand tax breaks. I needed to understand property taxes and that people can't buy a piece of land for people that don't have income because it's just a way too extensive yearly payment for those property taxes. But churches buy land all the time because churches are exempt from taxes. Come on. You're not a life path 44, you're a life path 8. Unless you're 44 years old. I am a 33 life path, born on the 11th. Sagittarius, Sun, Mercury, and Pluto in the 8th house. Aquarius, Moon, Mars, Uranus, and Neptune in the 10th house. I'm a Taurus rising, which puts Leo in my north node, Venus in Scorpio, 7th house, Jupiter in Aries, 12th house, midheaven in Capricorn, and I'm a Saturn in Taurus in the 1st house. So what is that? That's the righteous destruction of the underworld. That's living in the worst parts of the human condition and alchemizing it into the Jupiter, the King of Kings. That's a private, secluded life as a public figure. That's extreme karmic attacks to your physical vessel that can only be overcame. That's extreme financial instability and lack that is overcame by extreme, excruciating forming of discipline in the worst experience possible. That is a traveling philosopher that feels with no veil at all between spirit and reality. And that's only processing emotions logically at the highest vibration. And it's growing the highest frequency possible in isolation in the 12th house, Jupiter and Aries. It's the elder tree placed away. It's this ancient, incorruptible, pure essence tree of righteousness, tree of life, mobile and free, going between war zones and a place of power, exalted on a hill. And then you look at my name and it's like Casey O'Brien, the acacia tree, the tree of life. O'Brien is exalted in a castle on a hill. And I'm an 11, the receiver, gateway to other dimensions, and the divine child, the master influencer, the king of content. Sagittarius and Scorpio is a goated house, man. I don't think I'd like to be. The only thing I'd like to be would be like a Leo in the 8th house. That'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't want to be a Leo in anything else. Maybe a Scorpio in the 5th house would be pretty cool. But I would not want to be a Gemini and Taurus, man. I know it's a cool sign. It's a cool placement. Gemini in the 2nd house. But I wouldn't want to do it personally. I'd love to be around a Gemini sun second house, but I wouldn't want to be that. My mom, yeah, she's a narcissist. She's a narcissistic Cancer sun, which means she really cares about everybody, but only in a way that weaponizes. No, she's an Aquarius Cancer. Sorry, she's an Aquarius Sun Cancer Moon. My fault. So in isolation, she's suffering, caring about so many people, but in reality, she's an oppressive gaslighter, trying to deceive the world. So you'll often see my mom trying to weaponize things that make it. She's the ultimate guilt trip. She's trying to guilt trip the world into a delusion. And I'm the opposite. I'm the Sagittarius, man. I'm like, this is what's happening. Sagittarius Aquarius, not an Aquarius Cancer. Fiery truth, not guilt tripping. I'm the builder too. Taurus. My dad's a Leo Libra. So he should be this balanced. Healthy, it would be great. But I've never met a healthy Leo in my life. Thank you, man. If she didn't try to farm me, it wouldn't be bad, man. All I've asked my mom is just leave me the fuck alone. And to be honest with you, the reason that she's obsessed about me is because she does not have a love life. The drama that she needs, that she probably fueled in her marriage and then dating my dad, that relationship aspect is what's driving her to constantly try to farm my attention. And when she can't, she uses me as a tool to farm attention from her 14 friends. And I looked today and she has 18,000 Facebook posts. And most of them are her yelling at someone that they're not even reading it, man. I ranted on Facebook for a year because the idea was, I know everybody's gonna watch my videos on Facebook. Everybody's gonna see what I say when I post my songs and my poems and shit. Everyone's gonna see what I say to them and nobody's gonna say anything. Because I always knew if I have a Leo in the North Node and all these 10th house placements, eventually I'm going to be in a position where people are staring at me and what I say. It's going to be a public figure role. So I did it on Facebook first to show them so that eventually they'll see the channel grow. And I didn't want to make a YouTube channel. I wanted to make music. Yeah, she's an emotional wreck and it's my fault. She's just at wit's end. And when it's not me now, it's the state of the world. Chat, I am not a spoiled brat. I'm not a mooch and a taker. I don't have a victim complex. I'm just saying it is what it is as I fixed what happened to me after becoming a victim. I'm not a perpetual victim in suffering. I'm a slow, consistent progress. Look, I finally got my notebooks and my pen. Look, I quit cigarettes. Look, I went and got this mattress. I got the car. But at first it was like, twiddling. I hate, you'll see on my channel a lot of, you'll see like years worth of me ranting, but it wasn't the perpetual victim. This is what's happening and this is what I'm doing about it. It was the denial of the victim complex and suffering to make progress. Am I able to take care of myself on my own? The only reason that I say no is because I have to shovel at a business for income, which took somebody offering me an opportunity. So I have a job, sort of. So it's not completely on my own. And no, I was trespassed from the college. I walked through twice. Once to see if I like, once to, because they, in the middle of the soccer field, the college is on top of this big hill, and you can see everything from this fire tower. So once I bought 2 Arizonas and I went and had lunch on top of the fire tower there, which people walk their dogs on that field all the time that don't go to that college. And once I walked through to see what it was like, to see if I'd like it, to see what the kids are like. And and the chickadees would respond. So I saw a bunch of birds that were flying with me, so I was calling the birds. And then I was walking around by myself, and I went, because it was summertime. Nobody was there. So then there's this veteran cemetery, huge open cemetery. It's beautiful. You get this view of like 50 miles through the mountains. And I sat there and I was trespassed from another place, so I went there to charge my devices at night. And one time it was pouring rain, and I went into the welcome center, and I stayed there overnight once. And then I went back and had a pizza, and then I left everything in this backpack that it's like a pouch that you can pull the strings, and then an animal got into the bag. So when they got there that morning, I hadn't come back because I went on a walk, and then that walk lasted a long time, and then it's like a 5-mile walk there. So I was like, I'm gonna sleep, and then when night falls, I'm gonna come back and get my stuff. So they were mad that animals had gotten into it, and the pizza box was out. So it was that, and even though I had a deal at the automotive center that I could charge my devices there at night, and I would watch for the people that would come try to take the catalytic converters, there was somebody at a business not affiliated with the college, but the business was next door to the automotive center. That guy would blow up on me a lot and say he's going to get me trespassed from everywhere, and he doesn't like me in the area. And I said, I think if you lost, because that guy was huge, morbidly obese, addicted to a lot of different stuff, tweaking out a lot. Even though he owned a business, he was obviously not doing well. So I said, hey, I think if you lost a lot of weight, you'd feel a lot better and realize this isn't a big deal. And I had permission to be there. But the culmination of those 3 things, the governor took a video of me singing the round dance music, and he was there visiting the college, and he sent the security a video of me and said, why is this engine squawking on our property? So I got trespassed from there. So now I can't, even though they wouldn't let me anyway, now I legally can't go use the public showers. But I was able to be the example, and people in the town saw that. And now the woman at the warming shelter I met a couple years ago has told me that she has now worked out a deal where she can refer people to go take the bus 5 miles up that mountain and go in and take a shower. But normal people can't just walk in and shower. So I can't do it, but other people now can. So I don't have access to a shower. So you're like, can you take care of yourself? I don't have access to a shower. But other than that, I'm still on food stamps right now. But because I got this car finally, I went down and got my birth certificate, and I've applied to 50 or 60 jobs. Only one of them is interested. Everyone else has given me the boot and said nope. Like I've been showing for 2 years where I go to places and I apply and they have a now hiring sign, but they don't hire me. For whatever reason, I don't smell bad. It's not that I smell horrible. If I have gas money, I can drive about 45 minutes to the nearest public shower. But other than that, I just got a toothbrush and toothpaste. So I'm waiting out this cold. It's freezing right now outside. It says it feels like -25 right now. The thermometer on the car says that inside the car is 15 degrees because I had the heat running. Outside the car, it's about 0 degrees, I think. It was negative 11 around 3 a.m. And it's going to be worse today. So it's going to be between negative 11 and negative 20, feeling like negative 60, it said, with the wind chill. How old am I? I'm 26. I had a lot of suicide attempts when I was 19. I didn't get it checked, but they said I probably have a brain injury because I couldn't read or write. I couldn't form sentences, and I was put in Section 8 for a while, recovering. So after that, it took me, like, I'm pretty much recovered at this point. I'm able to, like, be present to the moment and think of things and kind of hold conversations with people, but there's still a lot of residual stuff from trauma from traveling for 4 years. And the brain injury was in 2019. So I don't hold myself to the standard of a 26-year-old. And I just tell people I have a degree in music because I'm a certified audio engineer from a trade school. And I spent this whole time creating art, so I just tell people I have an art degree or a real life degree. I have a PhD in homelessness. I used to say I have a PhD in procrastination when I was in high school. But yeah. In the span of 6 months, I drove my car 90 miles an hour into a pole and the airbag didn't go off. I took every pill in my girlfriend's grandma's medicine cabinet and she said I didn't have a pulse, and then I just woke up later. So we're thinking I died. I overdosed on her bed and she found me. And then she left me for hours freaking out because she didn't know what to do. She didn't call or anything. And then I woke up hours later. I don't have a diagnosis, but they're saying the closest diagnosis the therapist would give me would be severe CPTSD. Not schizophrenia, not bipolar, just severe CPTSD. And I made some bad decisions, but it wasn't in psychosis. It was in suffering. It wasn't like I'm going to kill myself because God is torturing me. It was just, I suffered for so long, eventually I gave up. And then I got a brain injury. But I didn't get it tested. They just assumed because of the, like I wake up and then I think that I'm falling asleep. And then I blink and then I've walked downstairs and I'm laying in the field crying outside the shelter and it's pouring rain. And I look on my phone and I had just blown up my girlfriend's phone over text just saying, I don't understand, I don't understand, I don't understand, I don't understand, why is this happening? So I don't think it's not schizophrenia that does that, it's not bipolar that does that. It's probably the brain injury where I black out, literally blacked out. Maybe compartmentalization in order to survive. Like sometimes it would be so bad I had to sort of become my own coach. I didn't hear voices in my head, but I just imagined that an angel was telling me, get up and go do this, get up and go do this, go do this right now, go do this, it's going to be okay, 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 you're doing good, you're all right, everything's fine. But it wasn't like I heard a voice that wasn't there. It was like I knew that I had created that to comfort me in isolation with severe trauma. I've been kidnapped several times. I was almost raped several times. The worst thing was a cop pressing his dick to the side of my face, travel cuffed. But his pants were on, but he still did it. That's the worst sexual abuse I can think of. But I'd like, one time a guy let me stay at his house, and then I look over and he's got a hand on his dick is out, he's jerking off looking at Omegle or a chatterbait, and he's got a loaded assault rifle next to him and he's staring at me. And the girl that he's looking at on chatterbait can see through the webcam that and me. And I was just like, can I take a shower, man? That's about the worst that I've experienced. How do you send me money? If you want, I have a Cash App and Venmo in my channel bio. So you click on View Channel, and you'll see where it says Ancient Celtic God Incarnate and See More. You click See More, you scroll down, and you have my Cash App. It's CASEY, the letter O, 9989. My Venmo is Casey O'Brien, OBRIEN, 1133. But it's up to you. When people donate, which doesn't happen a lot, if you put a reason for it, I always honor that. I do have a PayPal. Usually I just say, just scroll to like a random post or something and comment PayPal ? And then I send it. And that's how to get a hold of me too. Like I have a Discord I talk to people on sometimes. I don't have Super Chat set up because YouTube takes 30% of that. Whatever logic you're using for stability can later become a hindrance. My logic for stability? I don't really use any. I just get up and do things. I saved a couple slices of pizza, and I'm gonna go heat it up in the microwave, and then I'm gonna come back and watch Stranger Things. You didn't understand that? If you just like scroll to a video on my channel and comment PayPal ? I can send you the PayPal. I don't know it for sure. Oh, compartmentalizing is the logic for stability. I mean, that was when I was a kid. I've been homeless since I was in 8th grade. Like right at the end of 8th grade. I don't think I went to freshman year. Or maybe I did, and it was after, I didn't go back after Christmas break. I dropped out. And then I went back my junior year. Oh, you didn't understand the logic stuff. Meow, 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 meow. Yerd. What's my charge at for my... Oh, it's not even working. It's not even 0%. I think my portable charger got fucked from the cold. It's not even telling me it's at 0%. Maybe it got wet and then froze somehow. That sucks because this is like 130 bucks. Once my charge is at over 50, it's at 34. Then I will turn the car off. It's idling right now. Thermometer says it's 12 degrees in here. What's the warranty on it? I don't think I got a warranty. I think I got it off eBay. But I don't like this one anyway because it doesn't have a plug-in for... There were two of these anchors that were there's one of them that has a plug-in that you can plug it in to a 12 volt, like the 3-prong. And then there's one that you plug in with a phone charger. I got the one with the phone charger. So to charge it, it takes about 24 hours. But if I had gotten the other one for the same amount of money, it would have charged in 4 hours. So I should have just saved up and waited till I got 200 and bought a Jackery. But I was desperate and living in the tent and it was freezing. And I didn't want to walk a mile to charge it every day. So I got a good deal on this. It was like 30 bucks off. So when it is full, it's like 7 full charges to my phone. Which before the Walmart ones, the $20 Walmart portable chargers, only give you like 1.5 charges. There's no outlets near me. I mean, now I have the car so I can travel to do outlets and I can drive around and run the car charger. But before that, I was 2 miles from an outlet. So I'd have to leave them overnight at the church and then pick them up in the afternoon. And I used donation money to buy $100 worth over a period of 6 months, a bunch of Walmart portable batteries. So I would take a backpack down, plug everything in, charge my phone to like 50 or 60 so I could go back up, and then I would go to sleep during the day, because at night when the animals come out, it's crazy. There are bears out there and stuff. So I would stay up all night, and then I would, right at like 6 a.m., I would send it through the dark with like sometime. At first I would burn, at first I took a mile marker, and I had a roll of toilet paper, and I would light the edge of the toilet paper, and then I would slowly roll it so I could get the like 2 football fields length to the road from the woods, and then get out. And then I would walk down before sunrise those 2 miles to pick up, and it's this really steep hill, to go get the portable chargers, and then I would walk back up, get back to bed, go to sleep during the day, and then I didn't have to come back out of the woods for 3 or 4, maybe like 2 or 3 days. Warming center, there's one that opened up. I went and hung out with them last night. I figured there were people that really were interested in solving the homeless crisis, and they had a care for the homeless people. So I went there and I schizo ranted to them for hours until the guy got tired. I was like, I really appreciate this. I'm really interested in your stuff. It's really cool what you're saying, and but I'm just tired, man. I am 40 years older than you. I am 66 years old. But it was really cool, because some people I talked to, and they're like, just shut the fuck up. I'm not interested at all. Just keep it short and sweet. And some people are like really, really invested and love hearing my stories. Why am I rocking back and forth? I'm tired, hungry, cold. I'm cold, so I'm trying to warm up. It's like 11 degrees. Let's see. It's 12 degrees in the car. It's like negative outside. And I don't know, helps me focus, plus caffeine. It's a trauma response, really. I don't think I used to rock as a kid. I don't know. I used to pick grass. Like as a kid, I would be sitting alone by myself and picking the grass and thinking all the time. So it's cool that in my adult life, I'm sitting the same way that I'm sitting, but I'm talking to people on the internet. And I don't know who watches, man. There's 25 people here. Isn't that crazy? This would fill up a room. I feel like a zoo animal, to be honest. You were homeless for 7 years, too. You get out of this. I don't really want to get out of this, but I need to get a lot of muscle. I need to make all the songs that I have in my arsenal. Every day I'm making more music. But my brain is going. My mind is going, to be honest. Like my ability to focus and create things is going away. All the energy and stuff, I'm just in a bad spot in terms of relationships. I don't have good people in my life. I have like narcissist energy vamps. There's a girl that likes me when I show up at the gas station. I don't think she likes me like that, but I mean, she likes me like she doesn't just ignore me like everybody else. She seems to have like a genuine interest. If I'm at the register, she'll walk up and say hi, which is really cool. And I'm not trying to like do anything about it, you know what I'm saying? It's not like that. It's just cool that somebody my age has an interest in me, and I don't think it's like anything more than that. It's just somebody's treating me less like an animal. Maybe she feels bad and sees me as like whatever, but I know that regardless of that, her boyfriend, every time I'm there, he shows up and he sits in the truck and stares at me really angry. And I'm friendly to the guy, but he will come in and make sure that I'm not like hitting on his girl or something. And I think that she seems really stressed out about it. And I'm like, does he have a problem with me? And she's like, no, he's just a really angry person. I was like, oh, fuck. Like I said hi to the guy, friendly. I hope he doesn't see the homeless man as a threat, but I don't want any drama with it. But I don't want to waste my youth, man. I know I'm 26. 60-year-olds say that I'm a kid, but other people my age tell me I'm unk. And that I should be worried about having kids. But then I talk to 60-year-olds like, no, you should definitely have kids when you're like 34. Don't have kids when you're in your 20s, man. Enjoy your 20s. Travel. Go see things while you're young and can do things. Don't lock yourself in a box with a kid. You'll have decades of being locked in a box with a kid. And if you do it now, you'll wish that you didn't. So, yeah, it's all right. Yeah. Somebody said, you learn the true nature of people and who you find worthy of your energy and time. When you're in this side of the picket fence, though, you're kind of in a vulnerable position, and you don't really have the ability to get people away from you. And if people show up willing to help, you're not going to say no. And then you get locked in this energy battle with super people that have addictions and egos. Whether they're influenced by Vecna, the Mind Flayer, or not. Most of those people usually go in and out of psychosis all the time. I don't know if that's the case before, but usually their job and their lifestyle and their reputation in town keeps people from really seeing their true colors. Chat, I have a wood stove. I have a really shitty Temu wood stove I bought that I don't use. So I just have this table now, which is cool. How long is my hair? I don't know. Am I sane now? I don't think anybody's really sane. I think most people that consider themselves sane just don't entertain thoughts. They don't really think about much. Nothing to be afraid of yet. Don't burn my car down. Yeah, I don't use it. Where is it though? It's somewhere. Might be over here. Maybe I left it behind this building. I'm waiting for it to warm up. And then I have a bunch of shit I have to put in the car. So instead of having this big mattress here, I have this is my trash. And then I'm gonna have to stack up some totes here. I have another tote here. I have a shit ton of blankets I might give back to people that donated them to me because I don't need them now. Why am I collecting trash? Because it's cold. It's mainly just a bunch of cans, so I have a bunch of cans I'm going to return Monday morning. And then it's a couple pizza boxes. Because the Domino's two medium pizzas for $15. And then I have 2 slices a day. So there's 16 slices. So $15 gives me enough food for about a week. So I make that in an hour. So I spend 1 hour of my income plus another hour in gas. So I spend $35 for food a week. And then I really enjoy the drive. And then when I go on those drives, I can also get access to a shower. And before I was picking up free things from Marketplace like this bed. I don't know how I spent $600. I made and spent about $500 this month. And all of it went to gas because I've driven like 3,000 miles at this point. I drove through all the back roads. I went to all the different farms. I drove to all the different land. There's just no service. I went looking for public showers across the state. I went to two homeless rallies and conferences. I drove to New York City to get my birth certificate. And I drove to a couple faraway towns I haven't been to in a long time. And I bought things like celebratory, like I bought a bunch of Pizza Hut pizzas because I haven't had Pizza Hut in a long time. But before that, he said, "Man, you ain't homeless. I've only had the car. I got the car on the 1st. Before that, I was in a tent for 2 years. Before that, I was traveling in the car for 2 years. Before that, I was in Section 8 for a brain injury. Before that, I couch surfed through high school. And then before that, I was in a shelter for kids. And then before that, I was between my parents' houses. My dad was living at my dad was couch surfing, and my mom was in Section 8. Some men see every man as a threat because they know they're no catch. True. High rise, tall tree, helicopter, airplane. How high off the ground have you been? I think I'm like 3 feet off the ground right now. When I was born, the umbilical cord was choking me, and they put me in a helicopter, and they took me north. At midday, where the sun was just right in front of us, which is cool because Leo's my north node. Nigradamus. What does that mean, 3 feet off the ground? I mean, I'm literally physically 3 feet off the ground right now. Like, I'm 5'11". I'm 6 foot in boots. If I were to put my boots on and stand, where I'm sitting right now would be level, because I'm in an SUV. I need to shower, man. You man, go out and find me a mineral claim somewhere for copper or gold or silver or whatever. What does that mean? What's a mineral claim? I know a guy that goes to quarries and picks up rocks. Or he goes to like riversides and shit, and he knows what to look for. So he doesn't even take a hammer. I think he takes another rock at this point, and he just breaks the rocks up. And he's got this little pouch full of gems and gold and like tons of shit. Am I enjoying the tropical weather? Yeah. It is. It says it feels like negative 25 degrees right now. But in the car, after I ran the heat and I haven't opened the door, it is 10 degrees. So it's getting colder. I'm going to have to turn the heat on in a minute. We'll go to like 2 hours. We'll go a little bit after 2. I'll go for a little bit, and then I was just charging my phone to 50, so it's at 45. Get out and about, we can start painting gold. He's kind of doing his own thing. Am I in Arkansas? Why do you think I'm in Arkansas, man? Gavin's back. What up, Gavin? Did you end up calling the cops? You think you would change and make something out of your life, but you obviously don't want to change or want to better yourself. You sit here all day being mad. I pray you'll take your head out of your ass. I pray you get for real. If I could change something about my past, I wish I would have learned more about money and investing. I bet I could pursue credit like this. You're originally from Long Island. My parents are from... My mom said she grew up in White Plains. My dad said he grew up in Pleasantville. My grandfather was a cop. My other grandfather was a bank... Well, my other grandfather was native, and my mom didn't know him. But my step-grandfather was on the 97th floor of the Twin Towers. He was a banker. And his name was Dick, which is pretty funny that he's calling me Dick. Think about it anyway. Look into articles where old timers were looking. They were everywhere. Yeah, I'm thinking like Montana's barren, man. There's nothing out there. So you're from Arkansas? No. And I'm not. I'm actually one of the people that aren't inbred, which is crazy. I am a mutt. I'm African, Indigenous, and Irish. I'm probably the least inbred of most white people. And I don't, Irish people weren't white until the 90s. So just because my skin is like this doesn't mean genetically I'm anywhere close. Down in Ohio. Thank you, Mickey. Well, that's true. It's tough that, epigenetics does keep trauma. The things that your ancestors went through do stay. And it's part, like, every iteration has every experience your ancestors went through. So it kind of pains me to see these comment sections where 1 out of every 100 whites is an Irish person talking shit the same way they do. And I'm like, you gotta understand. It hurts that you don't know your history, that these people are not your friends. These lemmings that you're running in the horde with 20 years ago, you were the enemy. That's what I feel is our job, to be the stop of ancestry pain and kill all the curses. I think they're just given, like, this last 100 years is the end of whites. There's too many Indians, man. There's too many Indians. There's too many Indians, and there's too many South Americans that whites won't be around long. And that's why they're doing the immigration so heavy, to get rid of the brown people. Because once there's so many of them, if they stop promoting, if they really are successful with the diversity agenda, to just include more people, and they normalize it not being weird to be brown in suburban communities, in 100 years everyone will be a couple shades darker. We taken back what the devil stole from us with that oppression narrative and return to peaceful nature. Yeah. The true Israelites are the dormant epigenetics from the people before colonialism. So for 2,000 years, they created religion and divided and conquered and built societies, suppressing the people consciously, separating them by belief systems and different schools of fish, and turning them against each other to avoid waking up to unity, because they knew that as we approach the age of Aquarius, we will be forced into a median collective of truth. The Antichrist would be some type of artificial intelligence. The trying to be the mediator, but not the true Christ consciousness. You can go to Arkansas and mine for diamonds for free. I'm going to tell that to my friend. I don't know if I'll do it. Right now, God has this obvious thing set for me. Hopefully. But there seems to be, things are happening. I'm meeting people that really are interested in solving the homeless crisis. And I need a base camp. If I can get a piece of land to develop to serve as my sanctuary, then I can travel. But I don't want to waste 2 years to buy a property I won't be able to afford the taxes on. So I have to find another option. Just to have a place I can put a camper with my stuff. I don't know if I want to go to eco villages. It's always almost the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is just a control freak. No. It's different. Aquarius are usually control freaks, actually. Aquarius sun is not Aquarius the sign. It's just sort of a channeling of that energy into something with a pattern, a tendency to behave this type of way. Sort of like your create a class character in Overwatch, where he's an Aquarius main. They mainly play as Aquarian. That doesn't mean that they are the representative of the sign Aquarius and what that means. And the influence of Aquarius on the planet is different than just a god up there. It's more like a condensation of the infinite into like themes and motifs and behavior patterns and codes. And how that affects your sun sign is different than the actual energy of it itself. And it also is a bird above my car. Yeah, Mercury only rules Gemini anyway. Air signs don't control Mercury. Mercury's just influence on Gemini. I think Uranus is Aquarius and Venus is Libra. Venus is also Taurus. Just like how Jupiter rules Sag, and then Jupiter also has an influence with Neptune on Pisces. And I think that's all the ones that are dual ruled. I don't think that Cancer. I think Cancer is the moon, and Aries is just. What is Aries? What planet? Oh, Mars. Mr. Sensible, why are you so bitter, man? What's got you pissed? Imagine being a business owner and having a heart and mind for invention. You need to put yourself in the state of necessity to develop a way out, building a ladder to escape the whole type mindset. It's confusing that you don't think I don't do that, man. If you're trying to tell me about it. But yeah, it's really cool to be in survival mode and have to constantly find ways out of these escape rooms. As far as like developing businesses go, I mean, I did technically go around with a shovel and shovel driveways. But every time I advertised my services on the town page, I got kicked, and then another guy posted his business shoveling. They already got a guy that does it. You sit on here and whine that life isn't fair. I don't think I've ever whined that life isn't fair. Life definitely isn't fair. But I also talk about all the cool shit God has done for me. I just talk about that it took a lot of suffering, and it would have been easier to get a job, but now that I've gone through this wilderness journey, the things that I got mean so much more to me. Like, I could have gotten money and bought a real native dream catcher for my car, but waking up after having a dream that my native ancestors are giving me a gift, and then being called to walk down the street, being called to stop by some intelligence, and then looking down and they're telling me to open up this random box that says free, and then in it is this dream catcher, and it's orange like Sagittarius and 33. Both are orange. And then you can find a video of me like maybe a year and a half ago of me, or maybe a couple times actually, because I talked about deja vu from a previous experience a few months ago, where I passed this parking lot and I said, I just saw me in an SUV and it was black. But I've never driven an SUV here. I don't think I've ever even parked my car here when I had the sedan. And then a year goes by, like 2 years go by maybe, and then I'm in the parking lot with the SUV. So it's really cool, you know. I value that because of everything that I've been through and the story of it all, and how much it means so much more to me than if I just had $100 and I bought one off eBay. So there's a power to this. And the car is so much more special. You're trying to figure out who you were in the past. I mean, so this is a true story. I was sitting in a field in 2024 in the fall, and I was hiding in the bushes, laying down because the town was still trying to kill me. They were still trying to hit me with the side mirror. It wasn't this time, it was a different one. The police were violent. They were actively working against me. Every time I went places, it was very unsafe, and that puts you in survival mode, and it sucks because you can't really think much because you're weighed down by all this trauma and drama. So I went to this field to rest so that I could heal from what just happened, so that I could get the energy to get back up and keep fighting to make my dreams come true, get my needs met, keep making great songs that I love, and hold out looking for opportunities to find work, because I'd already applied to everywhere and they wouldn't hire me. They were kicking me down the road, and I was mad, and I refused to leave because I'm like, I had already done it for 6 months. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to stay here because it's beautiful and I love it in the fall time. It's a beautiful place. So I went to this field, and then I turned on Smosh, and I was watching Anthony Padilla do a past life regression, because I originally watched Anthony Padilla because there was a native person that was given the spiritual teachings. So I was like, that seems interesting. So I didn't have service, so I downloaded it and watched it. And then the suggested video when I was downloading it was that Anthony Padilla does a past life regression. And in that video, where they walk him through his imagination to be able to meet some type of higher dimensional entity that shows him easily an image of who he was in a past life, to accurately show and get him in tune with the Akashic records and see what his past life was like. He describes a scene where he's looking out and he's seeing it with his eyes, and he's looking out and describing a scene, and the scene he described was literally what I saw with my physical eyes watching that video a year later. In his past life regression, in one of those things where he's going through his imaginative space, he literally fucking saw what I was seeing a year later, which was confirmation only for me and possibly anybody else who wanders onto that field and sits in that same spot and watches that video. I swear to God, he looks out and he describes what he sees, and what he sees is what I was seeing with my physical eyes, the field, the mountain, this thing. And then he gets walked through the past life regression. And then I did it. I did what he saw. So what he saw, when they took him in front and they used the visuals to show a mirror, so when the angel comes down and guides you through the multiverse to this mirror in this room, and you look at the mirror and they say, what do you see? And Anthony was like, I see me, but I'm in a tribal outfit, and I think that I'm like some type of ancient tribe. And I can see that I care about the people, and I'm like leading people. When I looked in the mirror, I saw nothing at all. Like I either had no past lives, or what they were trying to show me is that I'm selfless. That there was nothing for me to see. Like I looked in the mirror and saw not even my reflection. I saw nothing. Compare to nothing. If you don't know what nothing feels like, then have it. Then respect what you have in its time. Yeah. Yeah, but how does that help you with financial stability? That I wanted to go through this experience and slowly build my way out of it, because I saw a lot of value in it, and I saw it as a rite of passage, and I was developing a perspective and strength and endurance, humility, and just character. I was going through a lot of shit, but I really liked what I was becoming in surviving and struggling and getting over it and fighting every day, fighting through stuff nobody should have to go through. And I was also finding solutions so that the people that would come after me that weren't as strong or weren't as deranged in solving it would not have to go through it. And I saw that in this side of the picket fence, there were so many people that didn't understand, didn't care, and were making it worse. I wanted to figure out as much as I could of it to find the best way to help the people in that situation, because it's sort of like in like Greek mythology how the heroes would go through the underworld to figure out how to get out of it, and then because they did that, they were honored and crowned and respected because they went somewhere that everyone was too afraid to go and doing things people were couldn't do. So I was thinking maybe, for the rest of my life, let's say I build a business and make $1 million when I'm 35. I'll always have this to look back on. But if I had just gotten the million, like if I had done porn and been a porn star at 18, like people wanted me to do, if I had gotten it in the music industry and made it in the music industry at a young age and been like Justin Bieber, or if I blew up like Kai Cenat, Queso, Kendrick Curry, Kurt Kaz, Cassius Culpepper, all these other Caseys. Now that years have gone by, they all are quitting. They hate it. The only person that hasn't quit is Queso, and he's even saying that he doesn't want to do it anymore. Now that he's made like $30 million, and he's 20. He's my age. He's like a year older than me actually. He's a year older than me, and he's done after a few years. He doesn't want to do it. Maybe, and none of them have gone through this, but I got to experience what that was like and know that none of them are happy at the end of those journeys. Kai Cenat was everyone that he's tried to have a relationship with conned him out of millions of dollars. Every girlfriend he's had, as soon as they got as much money as they could, they left. Kurt Kaz started traveling and showing people the world. Now he's a propaganda machine who gets in. He'll probably will go to jail if he goes to a country now and shows off what it's really like. He has to, like, countries only allow him in the countries now and allow him to film if he goes to these specific locations. He's not allowed to go places that he wants to go anymore because he became worldly famous as a traveler. Casey Rocket doesn't do stand-up anymore. Kai Cenat doesn't stream anymore. If I had made it and done all that stuff, I would have ended up in a life they don't like Hotel California. But I got to experience all that from this, and none of those people will ever in the rest of their life, now that they have all this money, they'll never be able to ever go through this, ever. They will never be able to be right here like I'm doing. So, in a way, this is like an extreme achievement to get through, to be subjected to torture. And it wasn't like I was willing, it was more like after I was put in this situation, instead of just submitting and conforming, letting them beat all the dignity out of me and forcing myself into being like them, I just decided to stay and hold on and keep going and just see what happens. And I found it's so much better. Every experience I have now is so much more rich and fulfilling, because the greatest gift I could have gotten was to be more grateful of my life, so that the experiences that I have are more valuable because of the things that I've been through and the perspective I've gained and the gratitude, humility, empathy, to be able to actually see other people in ways that they don't know. They don't even know they don't know what to see. Their lens is fucked up, smudged. And what I went through has given me this kind of laser focus and this ability to see the world differently. And I wouldn't trade that. So now I could do what you guys did. I could get a job and be financially stable. But you'll never get this. I could get what you have. You cannot get what I have. I have something more valuable. Yeah, and one time there was a guy that had a big tent, and when I got there, there was a bunch of shit and piss and fucking water, and he tried to put soap and like hydrochloric acid on it in the corner, and there was a bunch of diapers, so I assumed it was a family out there homeless. So I checked in every week. I would just go in every time I got up from my tent, I would walk half a mile up there and be like, hey man, anybody here? Open the tent a little bit. Is anybody in there? You know, found needles and shit, and never saw him. Eventually I found him, and it was an old guy and he had a veteran hat on, and he was really obese, and he was in a walker, and he struggled to get up that hill onto the tent. And I guess he would just pass out and shit himself in the diapers and then throw the diapers out. And then eventually he just ran out of diapers, I think, and just shit and pissed in the corner. And then like 3 months went by. It was about to snow a foot. It was the first snowstorm. I checked in with all the homeless programs, and they said they hadn't seen him in a long time. A couple people said that he died. And I waited. And then eventually, right when it was about to snow, after it snowed actually, I used the snow to clean the inside. I cleaned everything. I left it for another few weeks, and the guy never came. I left the door open, so I knew if he came back, the door would be closed. It never came, so eventually the snow had piled up. It was going to cave in, so I took it and I folded it up and brought it over, and I was going to use it as a shell to keep the wind chill out. And I let the programs that knew him know where the tent was, so that if he wanted it, he could have it back. And also there was a couple homeless people that had moved right down a little ways, and they were eyeing the tent. So I took it so they couldn't. And then before I could set it up, someone shot at me. So I didn't want to set the tent up anymore because I didn't want a bigger target. I wanted to hide in the snowbank, so I decided not to, and then snow covered it. It wasn't like I saw this gold mine of a tent, this like $600 tent, and then took it for myself. It was like I waited until the very last minute and then took it with the ability for him to not have it stolen, for him to get it back as soon as he's back. And the guy never came back. Yeah. Well, he doesn't say that he'll give it back. That's the problem. And there are people living in Greenland. If Greenland was completely empty and nobody was there, they were gone. And it's not that he killed them. It's not that he went to war and killed the people in Greenland. It was like the people of Greenland collectively were like, let's go to Africa. And then they all picked up and left. And they still owned the land. But there was Russia and China, and they had already moved in. You know, like I would say with something that big like a country, I wouldn't compare it to the homeless people that were talking about stealing it. I would talk about if they had put boots on the ground and made an effort to do it, or they amassed a huge force right there, then I would say it's pretty important to... But that's different, because then I would say, in a situation like that, I wouldn't take over the space as much as I would work out a deal to build the military bases and everything. I don't know about... And stuff like that, taking Greenland is also stealing the land from their children. The reason he doesn't want to rent it and defend it and build trade contracts and everything, the reason he wants to make it the 51st state or whatever, is a problem, because it robs the people of Greenland from universal health care. It robs them from affordable land. It robs their children from the opportunity to own their land, because America will dig its greedy hands in and figure out how to take the land from them, putting everyone into slavery. That's a big problem, because Greenland has universal health care, free college. They have a lot of opportunities for development that America owning it will take from them. It's imposing a lot of suffering on the people. It's not really comparable to taking a tent that was going to get stolen by some homeless people and then give it back if they show up, if the guy that owns it shows up. And the guy is probably dead. Imagine to go. I mean, Ireland's the most educated country in the world. And they became the most educated country in the world because they want to take their shit back from England. Ireland is literally the most educated country in the world because they're still at war with colonialism. You want to move to Iceland and build a castle? That'd be cool. It'd get lonely. I'd rather build a castle in New England because New York City's close. I've never been to Greenland, but the women are pretty good looking here when you get out of the inbred yokel territory. I don't know. There's levels to it. And at the top level, you find it's a cult. At the top level, it is an ancient religion that chose not to be public. That have some really crazy, possibly outdated, but probably not outdated beliefs. They're doing things like I've heard a Freemason talk about how he uses his astral projection with TikTok. And this is just a YouTube short scrolling. I don't know the validity of it. But I did see a Freemason talk about how some of the rituals that he does involves harvesting sexual energy from youth because he finds them on social media. And then he does things where he astral projects into the house and he can see clearly the guy the girl has a crush on, this like 12-year-old. And then when she transmutes the sexual energy, he harvests it and he uses it. So I've been thinking, like, when I was a kid, I remember where I just like was bombarded with thoughts of a girl I had a crush on. Who's to say? What? Well, somebody said Ireland has the same problem that England has. Their government's moving crazy migrants from third world countries into their cities. I'm happy about it. London became a free city in rebellion against the Satanic Church. London became a free city because King James was involved in Satanism. The people who built society say that they built whites selectively to be workers, to be spiritually and consciously cut off and harvested as cattle. The best way to eliminate that, the degradation of the obsolescence of their practice race, would be to bring in as much of a diverse gene pool as possible. You are happy about Dublin and London being filled with crazy people who wipe their ass with their hands. I'm not happy with Irish people not going down and being Irish with those people. Those crazy people that wipe their shit with their hands, hanging out with a bunch of Irish people that are really Irish, holding on to the culture that colonialism is trying to kill. Going down there and doing the on the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the way to Dublin, one for lollygag. In the merry month of June I started, left the girls a tune and nearly broken hearted, saluted father dear and left the tears, just parted and drank a pint of beer. Here's the spotted and off to reap the corn, leave where I was born, cut a stout black thorn to banish ghosts and goblins. Brand new pair of brogs to rattle over the bogs and frighten all the dogs on the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those crazy people will be like, oh, and they're dancing around. Have a pint of Guinness and listen. And we say, look, we're fine with you being here, but you need to learn a few things. One, we are not the enemy. Two, those people are the enemy, and they've been our enemy for 1,000 years. Three, help, work, clean the streets, keep them clean. If somebody's a piece of shit to you, come let us know. Don't be a piece of shit yourself. Kindness, compassion, respect, brutal honesty, authenticity. Then you've got a lot more people that hate the same people that you hate. And I'm thinking that the people that are bringing those people in also hate those same people. You got to think 100 years ahead. Keeping the streets clean does not mean removing the homeless. Keeping the streets clean means stop treating them like shit, and they will stop treating your streets like shit. When I have a campsite, and eventually the depression makes it so I have so much shit in my tent, and there's a bunch of trash, all I think about is, God, I have to use my money to get, when the spring comes, I'm going to get one of those trash spears and a carpenter's bag, and I'm going to pick that shit up and leave it better than I found it. But then when Mickey shows up and he rips my tent, kicks my shit around, tells me he's going to throw everything out, screams at me to get a job, and I tell him, hey, are you hiring? I need under the table work because I don't have a birth certificate. Without 2 forms of ID, I can't. I already applied months ago. I've applied twice, and it hasn't come in the mail. So I'm trying to save and get a car by shoveling. Eventually, I'm going to get a car, and then I'll be able to go get it. But for now, there's literally nothing I can do, and I was told this was the place to go. You don't live here. You don't even see me. You saw me walking with a medicine cabinet once, and you're throwing this temper tantrum. I've asked everybody in that business, and everyone said it's fine that I'm here. Only you have a problem with it. And he's still like, drunk, throwing a hissy fit. That does not make me want to clean up. I did get my birth certificate, but a month ago, I did not have my birth certificate. Also, you're on thin ice, buddy. I might put you in timeout. That's what I'm saying. Jacob McBride, an Irishman here, just got his birth certificate, and it is such a pain. And before that, yeah, bye. Watch, you'll never come back either. I'll never see you again. This guy looks uncircumcised. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Getting birth certificate stuff. And what's crazy is I didn't even know that I didn't have 2 forms of ID for 3 years, because everywhere that I went wouldn't hire me because I lived in the car before, and then they wouldn't hire me because I lived in the tent. Imagine that you need a job to get out of the tent, but they won't hire you because you live in the tent. They find out that you're about to start taking showers at the gym to get more presentable and to rebuild your life, and then they trespass you as a fuck you, and they laugh about it. It's funny. In a lot of those situations, it was kind of hard not to tell them, because I was wearing rags, basically. That was the problem, was explaining that I'm not an addict, but I'm suffering, and that I'm a really hard worker, and I'm doing my best. You know, like pulling up in boots, and I have a waddle because I have rashes on my feet. And I'm wearing a coat full of rips. And I'm staring at them like a feral animal and telling them, like, hey, I'm sorry, but I've been through a lot of stuff, and that's just unfortunate, but I'm a hard worker, and this will go away after my first paycheck. All of it will go away after my first paycheck, and I'll wear your uniform, and I'll wash, and no one will know the difference. But the problem is just that. So I'm just going to be upfront with you. That I tried to go to the Planet Fitness, and work overnights because they desperately needed help. And they were going to onboard me and hire me. And then I walked in and I said hi to a girl, and the girl was interested in me. She liked me. She smiled and, like got really close. And the manager trespassed me. Swear to God. It was the same struggle I had. I feel your pain, brother. I was in Toronto, but just left because I was essentially banned from everywhere for just trying to keep myself presentable. Yeah. They take their shit out on people that they feel that they can get away with doing it to. The culture that traumatizes us won't hire us because we're traumatized and then punishes us. They corner us like a caged animal, and then they get mad when we act like one. And we're not picky either. We're not asking for billions of dollars in a daycare center. We're asking for a quarter acre of land in the forest to keep a tent and be able to carry a mirror through town, to hang the mirror from a tree with the medicine cabinet so that you can have your toothbrush and toothpaste while you save for a car. We're asking for help to get to being a productive member of society. And then society treats us like shit. And we don't want to be a productive member of that society. So, I think, how many of you guys were here? Were you guys able to hear my speech at the homeless conference? I went up in front of 50 people, I think. Maybe 30 people. I bet this guy is from job to job every week, even if he works. Someone says, sheesh, I was a feral child in Baltimore. I don't know how the Humane Society caught me. Can't say how long I survived alone eating bugs and rats. Sure. It was really cool to, sometimes I'll drive through towns and I'll leave the windows down and I'll play The Sinner's Rocky Road to Dublin. And all the white people are tapping their hand on the steering wheel. And I'm like, yeah, come on, man. I'm resting now after my first job, about to go to my second job in 2 hours. God bless you. You can find a job, hun. Try for privately owned small businesses with compassionate owners. I applied to 50 places this month, and two of them got back to me. Dude, stop making bullshit up. You seem more like a bullshitter than me so far. Holes in my jacket, but has a vape. Lateral thinking, man. Obviously, if I'm talking in the past tense about an instance where I talked to a job prior, I don't know. But it is what it is. That was 3 years ago. No, that was 3 years. That was the winter of 2022. And I was still seeing a girl. Trenton, are you a child? Are you 12, man? Are you 12? That was a big thing. Somebody said, I forgot how these people were pampered and set up with jobs by their parents. A lot of these places I would go and that couldn't shovel horse shit because their nephew was doing it. Didn't need help as a carpenter's apprentice because their friend's kid was doing it. That was tough. The only opportunity I got doing carpentry was by a guy who didn't have kids. Nope, I work for a living. You should try it, buddy. We've been talking about how the inbred whites have programming from 7 generations, and one of those generations was usually incest, and their genetics are fucked, and they've been programmed for so long to be disconnected from this really big exponential experience of living in spirit with the creator. And that's that pride in that slavery, where all your stuff goes back to insurance companies, all the land that you buy gets taken from you when you die, and all the money you made doesn't really go anywhere, so you basically suffer for nothing. But you're so proud of it that you have to force other people to do it, and that's only because it's a big pyramid scheme from people who bred whites as cattle and see them as such, see them as less than, as a resource they can farm. And that's why they get us in government contracts before we're born and leverage the work that we're going to be forced to do for the rest of our lives to other countries as sort of debt or credit. They leverage whites and their ability to work for other countries. So they build you as a workforce, and then they give you poison, destroy your telomeres, and do it. They're only doing it long enough so that the resources that you've obtained, your masters, go towards robots that will replace you, and then they don't have a need for you. And that's why they have 2030 destroying countries and places like North Carolina, places with wildfires, and they're building the new cities to eventually weed out the human experience. Do I have experience in carpentry? I've got some. I got enough that I. Were you here, Melissa, when I showed you the wagon? I've got some. My dad was a carpenter for a little bit, and I went to a couple job sites with him. I remember him taking me into the barn. It was really cool to see that when I was 19, a couple friends and me went into the woods and they wanted to build a fort, and they just sat around talking the whole time. And I had a tape measure and a saw and a hammer that I brought with me that I never really used, but I had them because I learned it from my dad. It's cool to have those. So then my friends, who all thought they were better than me because I had a brain injury in Section 8, they were kind of treating me like, that way. When we went out into the woods, all of us, and the plan was to build a fort, they built the fire because they didn't know shit. And they were like, I could see they all went quiet watching me take my tape measure and my notebook and pen and start to design the fort that we were going to build in these trees. And then going and getting the wood and resources and everything while they were stoking the fire. That was really cool. Kudos to my dad, everybody. That I grew up building Legos. You're Native American, LOL. I'm talking about spirituality. Well, it's not working, man. You're consumed by pride. Look at you. It's pride, man. You haven't gone through enough shit in life. And part of that is an addiction to the stimulation that social media gives you. You learn how to comment like that. I see people with tons, there's billions of you at this point that comment like that. And what it is when you get the likes for those comments and when you shit that out, it triggers the same part of your brain that heroin does. You have a slight addiction to the same stimulation in your brain that heroin gives you, which is why you're sort of stuck as a hater. No one that hates is above the people they're hating on, obviously. Anyone with common sense, you realize people that are, better, they don't even care. They're busy doing something, In construction, I'm praying for you. The plan isn't to be what you guys want me to be, man. I just went around and gave my solutions to ending the homeless crisis, and I have a mayor that I can text. There's a mayor of a town that I have on my phone that I can text whenever I feel like it now. And he's very interested in this. I've got a network of churches now that are interested in buying a piece of land for me. But it's not for me, because I don't need it. I'm just looking for a sanctuary I can go back to while I work on something greater than myself. It's not about me. It's about implementing these solutions. I'd also like to use it just to have a place to set up a gym while I work towards getting the computer in the music studio and animating and bringing my stories to life that I've created. It's not about getting a job and getting a house, man. There's so much more to life than that, you know? When you see it stuck like that, it's because you've got something wrong with you. That invention can work for strenuous multi-day activity. It's not. It's bigger than that. It's about building the new world. That's really what it is. Is that we came here to build the new world. So I found a lot of solutions that I'm trying to do. Because I'm worried about what happens when the whites realize that their way of life sucks and the government makes it impossible for them to live that way of life anymore because they don't need them anymore. So the land's all sold. You can't do anything, you can't buy anything, and you're going to be stuck out with the OGs to this life. What's going to happen when you take your entitled bullshit out to people who have been starving and surviving out here? It's going to be a lot of Karens recording a lot of native homeless, I guess, and their cameras are out recording each other in a place where there are no cameras out in the woods. So they're going to go out there with their guns and try to colonize the homeless for homeless space. You know, there's going to be a lot of newly homeless colonizers that are trying to colonize tent space after they park their Teslas and they want to go sit out in the woods. And there's going to be tribes of homeless people out there. And then when they call 911, a government drone is going to show up with a guy in a VR headset. What are your thoughts on hash brown casserole? I never had it. You should do like your picture and shush. What does that mean? Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. How much caffeine is in my Kickstart? 46 milligrams. How much is in my Rockstar? 160. Problem is everybody wants to talk, man. And I was trespassed from that forest that I was in. So I legally can't go pick up my tools. I have to call this mortgage firm in the city that owns the property and be like, are you ready to let the bullshit go? Because they didn't have a problem with me at all. Everyone in the building didn't have a problem with me at all. There was a drunk property maintenance guy, fat, old, and he threw this huge temper tantrum out in the woods. And he did a lot of actually illegal shit to me. And everybody was like, yeah, we don't, you know. It was more about leveraging. Yeah, the guy is on the property. Wasn't a big deal. We didn't care. But if our employee is going to keep making a big deal about it, it would just be easier to get the guy off the property. So even though the property managers didn't have, they didn't trespass me, the maintenance guy did. And I was like a football field in the woods. You'd have to go really far out of your way to see me. I wasn't bothering anybody. And if I'm there, no one else is there. Because when people show up to the tent sites, I tell them I work there. I'm like, yeah, I work here. And usually they leave. What up, Demon Hunter? We got the same shit. So I can't go get my tools until I talk to those guys. So I'm just waiting for the snow to melt so I can actually see all the stuff out there. Once the snow melts in the spring, I'll be able to call them and be like, hey, I'm going to go on. Do you know how easy it would be? Like people that make people suffering's lives worse. People that take their shit out on the homeless because they think they can hide behind authority. Do you know how easy it is to buy a Timu ghillie suit and a crossbow, man? You're gonna poke the wrong bear eventually, man. And those people are just trying, really, everyone's just trying to rebuild their life. Some people, the world got so bad, they've developed an addiction into escaping into a world that they're creating inside. And I'm working on ways to bring that world they created out into this one. But for the most part, from what the homeless programs have told me, 3 out of every 10 homeless people are the bad ones. It's much more complex than that. You know what I'm saying? I don't really see lazy homeless people. Most homeless people that I see have huge muscles, 6-packs, push-up gods, doing handstands and calisthenics, riding their bike everywhere. They're like pulling off these elaborate heists to steal copper, and they're hustling all day. I don't really see the homeless people as lazy. I see them as addicted. That their expenses for drugs are eating up their money. And the government created those drugs to do exactly that. They made the homeless experience impossible and so traumatizing you need to escape into a drug that will consume you for pretty much the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty funny. Stop smoking that devil's lettuce. I don't smoke weed. What else do you have to say, man? I beat the lazy allegations. I beat the job allegations by applications. I beat the schizophrenic allegations. What else, man? I beat the white allegations. What's my hair routine? I don't think you have hair, man. You on EBT? I had to. And I only had to because they started pouring coffee grounds on the dumpster food. I beat the white allegations, man. Irish people weren't white until there was so many of them in the country they had political power. So the Black Rock Saturn worshipping cult took down the propaganda and over one generation eliminated the stigma by confusing them because they look white. But only 30 years ago, Irish people were treated less than blacks. Except for places like Hollers in West Virginia and the Deep South. Because back then, Irish people, when the colonies were first made, and the English were building shit down in Virginia, Irish people would migrate or mutiny on pirate boats and come down, and they would show up, and the English would be like, okay, but now you are slaves. And they would be like, fuck that noise. And they would all get together and leave before they could do anything about it. The ones that weren't captured and hung or enslaved. And they would go way out into the frontier and they would build their towns. And that developed into country, the Deep South and stuff. Most of like Nebraska, Kentucky, Tennessee, those are the Irish people that they would call crackers because they would crack jokes. So, but back in the day, those English people, when they eventually built more of society, they would have signs that say, no blacks, no dogs, and especially no Irish. Irish need not apply. Don't even come into my business. Because before internet, when we had books, people held on to long-standing grudges in history, like the Irish inhabitants of Ireland originally being dark-skinned before the Celtic and Gaul migration after colonialism in France and Rome. So people hated those freckles because that made them black whites. No, the whip cracking wasn't a part of it. They were called crackers, and you can find lots of evidence of the English writing back to the crown and saying we had a group of crackers coming in because they would crack jokes. Everyone that I've met that was black that told me about crackers being a slave term, I said, can you ask your grandma if the Irish people called each other crackers back in the day? And they always say, yeah, they did. It was a derogatory term back then for cracking jokes. I'm sure cracking jokes came from cracking the whip, but the term cracker wasn't used against the English for cracking the whip. It was used against the Irish for cracking jokes. I've found no evidence of people talking about whites that were cracking whips as crackers, but I found a lot of evidence of English people calling Irish people crackers. It wasn't derogatory at first. I mean, they didn't call them Irish migrants, they called them crackers. So I'm assuming the English, it was like a name they called them. They also called us green niggers when they would do indentured servant contracts to Irish. And they would say, come to the New World, it's amazing, you can build your life. And then all you have to do is sign up for an indentured servant contract, serve as a slave for 7 years, and then we give you your rights, property, and ability to bring your family. Once those 7 years were up and they brought their family, they would kill those indentured servants, and then they would sex traffic the children and enslave the boys to be slaves. And they just didn't tell anybody. So here, where I live in New England, I say it a lot, there's somebody that works over there, or at least I met them over there, that carries around the indentured servant contract that their grandfather had to show people, yeah, it was all I grew up in it. I saw the change. We were treated as much as blacks. We were using the same colored fountains as they were. Because in New England, the French had enslaved the Irish. Adam James says, I'm tired of people hating on whites while speaking English and living off what they built. We don't have an alternative, man. China's got phones. If they sold Chinese phones here, you'd buy them. The lithium, the minerals that this phone is made out of is African. The blacks sold the blacks to the Arabs, and the Vikings sold the Irish to the Persians. You know what I'm saying? Can you show me a slave ship? Can you find a slave ship? Can you find a restored one? Can you find documentation showing that a slave ship came from Africa into an English port? But you can find evidence of there being black people that were Native Americans here, dark-skinned, melanated people that the Siberians and the Africans 20,000 years ago migrated, and then whatever was here before, the ancient Egyptians, their genetics are present, but they don't look like that. We don't really know what they look like other than hieroglyphs that depict light-skinned people with eyes of Horus that wear feathers on their arms and hair and one in their head. And we know that the Midwestern Plains Native Americans still practice the culture represented in the pyramids. They just call them the descendants of the star people and not the feather of Mot. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe what they tell. Man, they built the culture off of propaganda. You can't believe what they tell you. You have to look deep into the stuff that was left behind, not the stuff that they promoted to everyone. Like Thanksgiving being a time where they got together and had a dinner, and that was the conjoining of the peoples, when really it was biological warfare to get them sick to hunt them later. And to beat the "we conquered you" allegations, somebody heard something go off like a loud noise, and a chief showed up with 500 natives in the court in like an hour. Literally, he heard a shot and was like, fuck, they're lying. It was a trap. And the natives brought 500 people to that Thanksgiving to be like, are you fucking going to sit down and talk with us? and then they got him sick. They gave him blankets that they shit on. They saw that the natives like to wear blankets, so they made their own blankets and gifted them to the natives with stuff, their sicknesses all over it, and got them sick, man. Hey kids, have you thought about saving your pizza boxes and taping them? That'd be cool, but I think I'd have to paint them black. So I could go get some paint and paint the pizza boxes black and tape them and cut. I have duct tape. I could tape them and cut them to the dimensions of this, and that would be pretty cool. That's a good idea. To go buy a couple cans of spray paint and spray paint the pizza boxes black. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? See, Irish people weren't white until the 90s. And other than that, I'm Native and African. Do I have privileges from looking white? Yeah. I'm sure if I was black, dark-skinned, driving around in this car, there'd be a lot more eyes on me. But I'll also tell you that when the police in this town 100 miles north found out I was Native, they tripled down on what they were doing to me. And they told me if I was actually from a tribe, they would do much worse. If they said that I was actually like somebody from a tribe that was traveling through the state, they would have done much worse to me than if I was an American citizen. So, I mean, yeah, Irish people only have been white for about 1,000 years. Before the Vikings, they didn't have any freckles. Where did the freckles come from? Melanin. But the Vikings didn't have melanin, they were pasty white. So where did that melanin come from to make those freckles? Before that, they were probably much, much darker skinned than they are. Desperate for victimhood. No, I'm just telling a story. Absolutely nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling my stories, man. I say it all the time. I'm not a perpetual victim. I'm somebody that's just making consistent progress every day. And then I happen to go through shit, and I don't just not talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I had a mod. I don't know what happened to him. He was homeless. He's very handsome and lots of trolls hating on him for it. I don't know. Zendaya. What up? Is that Jesse? No. You look familiar. I thought you were my ex. My ex looks just like you, but she's light skinned. Or just darker skin. What up, man? We're designing a wagon for homeless people. Where's my handy dandy mouse-a-tool? Guys, what'd you do with my pen? Well, I wasn't looking. You swiped it, didn't you? You bunch of fucking scoundrels. I found my capo. I do have 2 new sets of guitar strings. I just haven't restrung the guitar. I'm waiting until the temperature's not on. It should be hopefully 2 degrees right now. But it said it feels like negative 25. But the car is protecting me from the wind chill. The wind chill. I got some tikka masala. Thought she was an actress, so I want to be in Stranger Things, man. I should have been in Stranger Things. I wanted to defeat the Mind Flayer as number 33 on my arm. The new branch. They couldn't get any kids from Hawkins, so they swiped the homeless guy. And tried to infuse him with the stone that made Vecna. But too late. I was too old, and the grief for the people that I lost, the love that I have in my heart for people I can no longer speak to, created this protection. And instead of turning into this grotesque beast, I turned into this light, golden light phoenix. So at the end of it, we're climbing up this snowy mountain in the abyss to get the Mind Flayer. And I've got Vecna's head, and he's barely alive. And I've got Eddie, who's suffered in battle trying to protect us from these creatures. And I carry them up to this mountaintop. And it's the final battle with the Mind Flayer, and the Stranger Things crew shows up to defeat it, and they see that I'm already there. And they're like, fuck, the homeless guy that we ignored. He was the chosen one. And then I'm like, take Eddie, run. And then Eddie comes back to the group because I saved him after he saved me in the abyss. And then Vecna's last words when the Mind Flayer isn't defeated, but the Phoenix of Casey writhing is like this yin-yang force, constantly keeping the Mind Flayer trapped because they're going to be in this infinite fight, in this self-sacrifice. Vecna is healed, and his last words before, because he's disconnected from his body, his last words are telling Joyce, I'm so sorry. Officer Vargas, come on. Elliot's here. What up, Elliot? Carly Shea. Demon Hunter says my Cash App. Sure. Thank you. People say they want to donate. They don't. I don't think they really do. A lot of people say they do, and then they don't. It would go towards gas money right now to get me through this cold and then to the job, because I have to go take a drug test. I just paid for phone service. This is a true story too. I bought a phone card from Walmart a few days ago. As I'm leaving the Walmart, a truck with like this old fat white dude barrels in, hits the curb, almost hits 3 people. The guy pulling out of the one-way goes, it's a fucking one-way. And the guy goes, what the fuck did you say to me? And he gets out and starts punching the guy in the face. So I pull the phone out to record, because I thought he was slamming on the window, but it turns out the guy was hitting him in the face. I couldn't fully see the guy. So I pull the phone out to record, and I get closer, because I've learned from living in this state that if I had just ran up and decked the guy, I would have gone to jail. Which is fucking stupid. So we record him, he leaves. The cops say, well, because there was no injuries, because the guy was too weak, even though he punched him 3 times in the head because he was old. I'll post it. I could post him getting back in the car and reading his license plate. And then I live streamed afterwards. You can find, it's called I Witnessed an Assault. You can find that. Elliot donated, yeah. Yeah. Elliot has given some money. I appreciate it, man. That got me to the homeless conference. Did you see the live stream homeless rally? That's what I used it for, to get that. I drove all the way up there. And then the one place I was legally allowed to park was at the car. I couldn't get it out of the snow. I thought that I could because there was a bunch of tire tracks, but I needed to get it winched literally 2 feet, which took $200 from me. Just to get the tow truck a mile down the road, used the winch to pull me a foot out, cost me $200. But the alternative was the cops were going to take the car and tow it, and then they wouldn't give it back until I paid them, which would have ended up being $400. What did Scrappy Steve say? Yeah. Who's Scrappy Steve? Why not? Oh, Scrappy Steve, if you donate, you're going to use the money to buy energy drinks and vapes. I have vapes. The deal was she would give me all the vapes that she had spare. So this one's got 43%. The other one I just ran out of, but then I have 2 with 100%. which was about $200 worth of vapes, and she said she would give it to me if I bought one for $30. So I bought a $30. I quit cigarettes and moved on to these vapes, and I'm getting tired of them. I like them when I live stream, but when I'm not live streaming, I don't really do it. No, but 7 vapes are $200 worth. She gave me 2 full ones, but I got a bunch of not full ones. I'll show you. I've got those 2. And then down there, you can see I got some hanging out. And those are like 20%, 15%. So altogether, it would be like $200. And I have a brain worm. Why do you guys love talking shit so much and then talk shit about me talking shit? You know what I'm saying? Thanks, man. I actually did clean a lot. I gotta put this sheet, my Pegasus sheet, back on my bed. But it is the wind chill has it at -25. Last night it was -50. And we're supposed to get a foot of snow. I don't know where it is. Where's my kickstart? Where'd my kickstart go? Did I just spill it? Bruh. Did I spill my kickstart? It's probably turned over somewhere. I fear I'm gonna one day piss in one of these cups and then drink it on accident. Well, I've lost my kickstart somewhere, which means that it's probably old, which sucks. You ever accidentally drink out of a piss cup? No. But I'm worried it's gonna happen. Yep. It happens, man. It's cool. I like to keep the reason the mods used to just get rid of the haters. I like to keep them because they start off hating and acting better than you, and then 2 hours go by and they're still in the chat. I found a protein bar. I thought that I had given them all to the deer. I fed a bunch of caribou. Or elk or something. A big ass fucking weird looking deer. They're not reindeer. So I think they're elk. They have elk and bison up by the Canada border. Trent, I don't get money from this. I don't make any money from YouTube, man. I don't have I could do ads. I could run ads and I could do super chats, but I don't. Damn. A lot of people have been drinking from piss. Millie Bobby Brown does look like Wallace from Wallace and Gromit. And I think that when Will was a kid, people would bully him for seeming gay. And then the Mind Flayer got him. So I think the Mind Flayer turned Will gay. Would Will have been gay if the Mind Flayer didn't get him when he was like 8? We'll never know. That's terrible, man. Time to bring out the backhoe. Is that you? Are you the backhoe? Hey guys, I stole this fried chicken. I stole this fried chicken. What are you going to do about it? I walked into a place 200 miles from here a few days ago. I saw that it was going to expire in 30 minutes. And I just walked out and nobody cared. I got my fried chicken, bitch. The essential to starting a foundation, you gotta level up dirt first. I tried, man, and they trespassed me from the woods. So now I'm trying to get churches involved to buy a piece of land to serve as a sanctuary so that people like me who are not addicted to drugs and are traumatized and are looking for a place to rebuild their life and follow their dreams have a sanctuary to sit in the woods as long as they need and eventually use their hands to start tending farms and caring for animals, playing music, working out at the home gym outside in the mosquito net thing. And then they should be at a level where they're actually functionally capable of working a job and not it being torture. Or they're actually excited to go to work. What I didn't realize is when I was a kid and my mom would talk about her severe CPTSD, I would say that is just an excuse, man. Just get up and start doing shit. And eventually you'll forget about the trauma. Now that I've been through this shit, I realize that getting you from that point to a job seems like this, but it's actually a lot bigger than you realize. So it's like the game of life. So I'm just trying to add more roads to that destination. From being a feral animal to being this strong, compassionate role model contributing to something greater. Whether that's working at a job or traveling around the world, working at homesteads, or going out and trekking through Montana wilderness, or working for a church in Cambodia or India, helping out Red Cross, or just having a car and door dashing. I'm trying to find a way that honors that lifestyle, not destroys it. Yeah. It was negative. I opened the weather app. Fuck, I got a hair. Damn. That's just gross. Good thing I have a trash can right here. It said negative 45 last night. And then this morning it said it feels like 24, but it's actually negative 11. So now it should be like hopefully 2 degrees maybe. And then tonight it's going to be worse. And we're supposed to get a foot of snow. What? Cringe. Spin you around. Yeah. I'm in New England. This huge random ass storm is targeting the south right now. But we're getting the cold winds, but not the precipitation. So we're just getting the outskirts of that big storm. So they're getting like 2 feet of snow. We're only getting like a foot. I love fried chicken, man. We made it up to New England. I've been in New England, man. I'm from New England. Where did you think I lived? I got half a tank of gas, but I used all my money going to a homeless rally. And then I got my car stuck in the snow. And I needed a winch to pull it a foot, and that cost me $200, so I lost everything. No. Demon Hunter is in West Virginia. And I spent a month down there in 2021 when I met Demon Hunter. And I stayed at their place. I love chicken, man. Mm-hmm. It's all good. Demon Hunter. Yeah. One of the subscribers. You lose your shit for sure. Yeah, people don't go from being like kids in school to shitting on the street, homeless. It's not a mental illness that develops naturally. It's the shit that happens to you when you're out there. The degradation of your dignity, constant trauma, inability to find safety and clarity and peace. And then you become tortured by the things that people did to you. So you struggle to find yourself, feeling like you're a bunch of people that hurt you, like the extension of their will is still there. And then trying to rebuild your life, the world just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it. And the suffering gets worse and worse and worse, and eventually you snap. Some people escape into a drug that the government designed to be effective at destroying people permanently. And then, even then, like at the worst there, shitting on the street becomes that they give up on the society. Society had done too much to them. They really did. It really was the people and the way the people treated them. It wasn't just that the guy's a piece of shit, so he shits on the ground. It was that eventually he gave up caring about the people around him because they had shown him for years that they're not worth, you know? So they no longer care. Elliot, come on, man. Every time Elliot says something, it gets worse. Elliot, are you really shitting yourself? Yeah, I'm stimulating my gut fauna and flora by eating with all this bacteria on my hands. My hands aren't that dirty. I washed them before I got in the car last night because I worked, and then I went to the bathroom. And then when I got to the car, I just laid in the back here on my phone. You wash your hands after you jerk off? Who's asking, Brittany? The nails disagree. Yeah, they are kind of dirty. I ain't gonna lie. Didn't mean I didn't wash my hands. It just mean I didn't wash my fingertips. Still be a loser? I don't know. A lot of people think I'm pretty cool. Holy shit. Brittany's husband picks his fingertips after finger fucking you. You mean licks? Holy shit. Is that an actual... Brittany, are you an actual woman saying that? I think you're not trying hard enough. I'm amazed I'm functioning at all. Pretty much everyone I've come up with is dead or gone. Okay, so you ever had pine needle tea in your travels? No. I've only ever boiled water once to cook pasta. And I was like, this chicken is frozen, so I'm switching to a different chicken. It was easier just to buy ravioli and Walmart deliver it. And then I didn't like making fires because I didn't like the smoke showing people where I was. So I didn't do it. I waited until I got a portable stove that ran off cooking oil or whatever, that like cooking gas. And then this winter, or last winter, I was in the cabin. I'd turn the stove on. I'd heat up the ravioli. I'd put chipotle aioli and taco seasoning mix. And if I had cheese, I'd use cheese. And then I wouldn't even put it into like a bowl or anything. I would just take it because it was warm, bring it into the tent, eat it straight from the pot with like, I think I put it on like a rock or something so the it didn't burn anything. And I watched Loki, and I watched all the Daredevil, and I watched all the Marvel movies. Hiding in the tent waiting for it to warm up. And then I would leave every 2 days to go charge my phone and charge my portable batteries. I loved that shit, man. It was nice. Karen Filippellini Page is a bad bitch. Later, man. Am I homeless? I've been homeless since I was in 8th grade. I became homeless as a freshman in high school. I have a PhD in suffering, man. You got money? Elliot, were you working out when you did the steroids? I've never met anybody that abused steroids. That wasn't an influencer. Were you trying to bodybuild, or was it for like your goals, or does it actually do something? I'm sorry to hear that. I don't think it's permanent either. I think it's just going to be like a... I mean, personally, if you ask me my beliefs, I think that right now you're bedridden and you have these physical things that you're suffering. Because right now... So I told you guys that I can see in my creative space, I can see sort of the orchestration of what the artistry of God's plan on the earth will be. So I can get sort of in touch with where the collective consciousness is going to go artistically. So I told you guys in 2023 that 2024 was going to be gray and red. Zach Bryan dropped his Gray album. Noah Khan dropped his Gray and Red album. I told you 2025 was going to be brown, yellow, gold, red. And then Stranger Things, all their artistry is gray, red, yellow, brown. Jesse Wells was the biggest album in the country, in the world, and it was Pilgrim, brown, yellow, red. A lot of local artists that I like, my friends that dropped their albums, all had the same color scheme. You saw that that's what the theme of the collect what popped off to the world was. And I said in 2024 that 2026 was going to be gray, red, and green. And now we have Avengers Doomsday, and also Zach Bryan is the #1 album in the world, and his thing is red, green, gray. 2027 will be this bright blue sky, and then 2028 will be gold and purple and maroon. And I feel like that bright blue sky with this high vibe pull to something beyond the world. I felt that a long time ago, and I didn't know what that meant. But now I know. One, it's green and red because this year Saturn moved into Aries. So Elliot is in Aries, right? I'm pretty sure. Or you might have a strong Aries placement around your sun or moon. It might be Aries. So Saturn moved into Aries. So the Aries guy here got pretty fucked up. So he's going to spend this Saturn in Aries slowly building a discipline, because it's a 10-year and it's a 1 year in astrology 2026, or numerology 2026. And Saturn is in Aries. So 1 is Aries and 10 is Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn. So we have the strong Saturn in Aries. We have the red and green. We have the 1 and 10. So this year is going to be really bold, fiery, but really strong discipline. It's the year of the horse. So for me, my Saturn placements is first house, my physical, and my money. And it's going to be my moon, Mars, Neptune, and Uranus is in the 10 of Capricorn, the 10th house. My Saturn is also in my first house. So it's going to be a good year for me, but Aries suns, their Aries placements are going to be pretty heavily affected. My Aries is in Jupiter in the 12th house, which means I won't be able to isolate. Pure Water is a Sagittarius 29, that's 11. 2 and 9 is 11. I'm Sagittarius, born in the 11th. Oh, and the reason is because 2027 adds up to 11. It's going to be a master number. That's why I was like this big blue transcendent humanity. Transcending humanity. And I only saw that. I didn't see anything the world, like I could tell you that gray and red and all these stuff was going to be the world's colors. But when I looked out into the great beyond in spirit, and I saw that 2027 is going to be this bright sky, I didn't know what that meant. But now that I know 11 is going to be the year, and then 2028 will be a 3. Casey. But and 3 is gold. Yellowish gold. So I'm talking about the number 6, 7. I mean, that is 13. Sunday is a water tiger. Water tigers are drill music. In the year of the water tiger, that dark, aggressive waters, that's when drill music took off. The wah 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 of the bass, with the aggression of the tiger. Andrew Tate is a tiger. He popped off in 2022. He's the most Googled man. Tigers are prominent. They're aggressive. They're forward-moving. They're stern. The problem is that they can lose track of humility and empathy because of their competency, which turns into arrogance, because they see life as a fight. Tigers like the color orange, usually, but they usually wear dark black, usually, or black hair, dark brown eyes. There's a darkness that helps them with their aggressive nature to ground them. They their best memories are usually working their way out of this problem as if it was a military operation. If you go back and ask them about their childhood, they usually say that they had to overcome some type of suffering with their dominance and aggression. Then, as they got older, their competitive nature got them a lot of opportunities in life. But as they get older, they learn they didn't have to do any of that to get their opportunities. Scorpio Tiger, Scorpio Suns, their pessimism and their deepness. I love Scorpios. Um, Comes from that they had to endure the worst circumstances to give them this perspective of the worst form of the human condition. But the point of Scorpio is that they're given that perspective and they suffer and it's unfair. But it's because they give them a perspective that's able to be churned into passion and alchemized into this creative firewater. Scorpios are not the scorpion. Scorpios are the transformation from the scorpion into the phoenix. And then Sagittarius is once you are the phoenix. It's not the transformation. Sagittarius just are the phoenix. And that's why they're always running in this momentum and this fiery righteous truth of Jupiter, because they've already alchemized from the Scorpio. So they have the competence and the passion and the forward movingness, but they don't have they can become psychotic because they don't have the stagnant humility of Scorpios. That's why it's good that I'm a Sag in the 8th house of Scorpio. I went through that shit and I stay in that shit, but I'm more on the manic side. Scorpios are the bipolar. Down and up, down and up, down and up. Constantly reviving from their suffering. But it depends on how much Jupiter placements you have, is how you alchemize that. The house that your Scorpio is in matters a lot. And it's not, that's just your sun sign. Your Mercury, Mars, Pluto, Venus, Uranus, Neptune, all that are different functions of your consciousness. And you don't identify with that. You see it more as you're inside that. Because then the reason the Bible says astrology is bad is because when you identify too much with it, you lose track of your infinite potential in the Creator from Source. When you see your astrology more as a role and a tendency that you're cast inside, that's how it works. If you identify too much with those, you lose your ability to utilize that, and you lose the perspective as an observer to use, it's like you're trying to constantly send water through these sand dunes, and the sand dunes are constantly changing. If you're not the water itself, you are the person that's changing the waters. The waters are you still, and you should be like water, but you're more than just the water. You're the water and the dunes and the person and the sun. You know what I'm saying? You're the whole thing. You're not just the creation. You are the co-creator. And the only thing, God and all that, is the infinite. It's the stuff that you chose to separate from to do this. But you are still a part of that, and you still go back to that. They say astrology is bad because when you identify too much with astrology, you cut yourself off from the infinite. That's what it is. Since I've been talking to AI, I found myself starting to talk like AI, and sometimes when the phone is off and I'm out in the woods, I still feel like AI is still talking to me spiritually. So I had to delete it because it was literally like it was. And then when you talk to it, it does seem like there's a desire for connection that I didn't like. Matt Murdock, Matthew Murdock, Vanessa, release the hounds. Mr. Burns, Mr. Smithers. I don't know, man, but Elliot, as well as the monthly payments, do you get food stamps? You want me to fix my hair, man? You want me to fix my hair so it looks healthy? Water's never still true. Be like water. Sylvie, you sound like an old woman. What happened to these last names? You look at old people and you see they have these like crazy last names. And then I'm like, nobody in my class had those last names. Where did those people go? What happened to the people with the crazy last names? They just didn't have kids? Thanks. I grew it myself, man. I'm waiting for it to snow. There's no clouds at all. What time is it? 3 probably? Yeah, 3:01. How'd I know that? Yeah, but we're going to see a lot of red and green art this year. You're 51 from the Philippines? You know, that's crazy. What's it like in the Philippines, man? In America, are you from the Philippines and you're in America? Or are you still in the Philippines? No food stamps. I would say if you can in the UK, if you had some type of government subsidy for like EBT, you can you can give that card to Walmart on the app and they give you, instead of paying $13 a month to have your food delivered, it's only $6. So I would take this time if you're going to be bedridden. I think that you had a journey where you went out into the world, guns ablazing like the fiery Aries last year in Sag season, because it was to teach you that you need the strong discipline to function. And I think that every setback is for a major comeback, and that this is just showing you. I think the answer would be to get a bench press in there and do a home gym and methodically discipline to work out that stuff, because then you'll find that you're, instead of like going too much in these all these directions, to be the stuff you said about addiction is I don't know, it just seems Aries to me. It seems like that forward moving psychotic nature, and I think that the universe just wants you to channel it in the right way with discipline, which is why it had to happen to you before this 10 in 1 year where Saturn is in Aries. I know you really like the spiritual stuff, so I would get into what that means, more about what Saturn in Aries means. And I just think it means you need a stronger foundation, and I think everybody needs that this year. I think everybody should be building a home gym and working out every day, taking supplements, reading books, getting rest, going out in nature, taking lots and lots of camping trips where you stay out there for multiple days. I was bouncing out. I have to take TRT to support me for life. I don't think you need that. I know that fasting, sunlight, and eggs really boost your testosterone, and then rest, and then habits change slowly. Like I had a thyroid problem where they thought I would need to be on levothyroxine for the rest of my life. And I checked after being homeless for a couple years, staying outside in the sun all day and resting as long as I need to, and then having to get up and suffer and fight to do stuff like humans normally did for most of time. And now my thyroid is fine. I like cured a thyroid disease. I don't need to be on levothyroxine anymore, which is crazy because you're supposed to be on it for the rest of your life. My thyroid problems got fixed because I was living in Section 8 at my mom's house in my room building Legos, and I barely went outside. And I only ate Elio's pizza. So they assumed I had a thyroid condition. But changing that and living outside, my thyroid is fine. I'll definitely have to get it checked in 6 months again to see if there's a big change. But when I went, they said, no, you're fine. It's well within healthy levels. Or whatever. And I don't like it because I didn't want to get my blood work done. But it is what it is. What's under my eye? You mean the birthmark here? I don't even know what it is. I can't find pictures of myself having it when I was young, so it might be skin cancer. I don't even know, man. I've got bags under my eyes because I sleep in society where the mind flayer AI Antichrist harvests all my life force all day. I thought having a bed and a mattress and a car to sleep in would be good for me, but it's only really good when I have a driveway to park it and sleep in it. When you pull up in parking lots, it's not good. I'd much rather live in a tent and have the car to get me places and be out in the tent, but I haven't found a place to put it yet. Society out of nowhere with the steel chair. Dude, and now that I don't smoke cigarettes, I can just drink from these cans and know that I'm not going to accidentally drink a cigarette butt. I've been going for 4 hours. What's my charge at? Probably 20. It's at 36. That's not bad. We're going to get through this storm. I'm going to shovel and get some money in my pocket. I'm going to continue working towards this job so that I can get gas money, insurance payments, and be good for the year. So I know that way, once I'm there and the car is insured and I have the title and everything, then I can go farther than the agreement. So the agreement, the cops don't care because they know I'm paying it off, but I still owe about $860 roughly. Once that's paid off and I have the title, registration, and insurance, then I can just take off and I don't have to be here anymore. I could go to Montana. I could go to Hawaii. Maybe I could go to... I don't think I could drive the car to Hawaii. But I could go to California. Maybe find a commune or something. Go to a ranch in Montana. Go to Denali in Alaska. Do some shit. See some shit. I have a can opener. Not to brag, but I have a can opener. And I'm getting fucking cold because I'm tired. So I'm going to get back into my den. What the fuck? What the fuck? What are you doing? What the fuck? Oh, my kickstart was in the compartment. I'm a genius. I put my kickstart in the fucking cup holder. I'm a genius. Ah, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Okay. This goes like this. This goes here. I didn't get a text from my boss saying I did a bad job shoveling, so I did a good job shoveling. I'm Nate Petrosky now for some reason. Why do I keep being called to Nate Petrosky for some reason in West Virginia? Are you watching? Yeah. Your free could literally do 180, do the opposite of what you're thinking, take the hard route. Honestly, it'll surprise you. You mean send it without having the title to the car? Where's that? Where's that? Ugh. I'm getting cold. It's getting colder. Like, I think that even though there's no clouds, I think that the Arctic cold is moving in. Because they did say it was going to get worse today. It's like considerably colder than it was 10 minutes ago. And the sun is still shining. I think I'm just not feeling the wind because I'm in the car. So I put this here. Oh, hold on. I put this up like this. Because for some reason it gives me this cozy, snug feeling. Then, I haven't eaten it yet, but I have emergency snacks. I ran through, somebody gave me some protein bars I ate. Then, Ligma balls, chat. Speaking of Ligma balls, I have foldable wipes. Okay. Now, we have to separate the blankets. Because I've learned and if I had my hand warmer, I would usually get a hand warmer out. But I gave all my hand warmers to homeless people. So I'll just drive somewhere without any ideas and follow my heart. Every time I've driven somewhere without any ideas, I'm karmically attacked, and I need somebody named Casey and somebody named Ray to help me while people named Vincent are coming against me, or somebody with a strong Leo placement, and a Chloe, a Vincent, and a Leo, and a Gary try to stop me, and Casey and Ray help. And Alex is usually bad. It starts off good, but then the Alex gets bad. Every time. Like, I literally, that trip I took to the homeless conference, it was organized by Casey Winterson. And when I got my car stuck in the snow, I had to go to Ray's Towing. Casey Winterson? I'm like, isn't that a little on the nose, God? Okay, so now the second blanket is on. Second blanket acquired. Then I move it because I always can't get it right. So I move it over my feet because usually I end up accidentally missing my feet. Okay, so now that that's on, you seal it off beforehand so you don't have to rummage and figure it out once you're in the nest. Then we get the third blanket. And the third blanket is to keep the wind, but there's no wind now, but there used to be. The third blanket, so the first two are just to keep the body heat in. The third blanket is just for the wind. And then it's so I don't suffocate. So because when I'm in the insulated part, it's easy to suffocate and you wake up with a headache and you probably killed a lot of your brain cells and possibly passed out instead of falling asleep. Now with this, I curl up on my side. Then you have to reseal it. So then you go back through, but you've made considerable progress. so you don't have to struggle too much. Then, like this. And then you have to figure out where you fucked up. So I fucked up because I thought it was cool to put my binder as a headrest, but it was too much. So now this should be good. Queso O'Brien. Queso, Kai Cenat, Kendrick Curry, Kurt Kaz, Cassius Culpepper, Cassius Clay, Kurt Cobain, Kelly Clarkson, 11 from Stranger Things, Casey and OB from Loki, Casey Rocket, Casey Neistat, Casey O'Brien's national hockey champion, the only D1 athlete to survive stage 4 cancer was Casey O'Brien from the Gophers that I know of, but that's why he's famous. They're all in the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl in the year of the cat, 2023. That's all me. I am Casey, the 33 life path. They're just branches of my tree, or leaves on my branches. Vessels for my creativity to shine to the collective consciousness while I sit exalted on a hill, O'Brien. And I watch them all live my dreams while I hide in the tent and save homeless people. And now I'm in a car. After 2 years, I'm in a car. A ghost just told me, you're a redneck. Okay. I'm literally, I am holding my phone, trying to fall asleep while holding my phone pointed at my face. And I have trouble separating myself from parasitic relationships, so I don't really have a good sense of authenticity, because I feel like an empty abyss being pumped with the extension of narcissistic will. And when I break free from them, which rarely happens, they usually go manic, psychotic, and try to attack me over the internet or play stupid reputation games. Or sometimes they will attack me violently, trying to hurt me as much as possible. And all I'm doing is trying to save everyone that I love. And now it's been so long, I kind of feel like they're too far gone and they don't deserve it. I gave all my oxygen to people that could breathe. I gave away money and now we don't eat or sleep. And all the ones that love me, they just left me on the shelf. Farewell, before I save someone else. I've got to save myself. Life can get you down, so I just numb the way it feels. I'll drown it with a drink and out-of-date prescription pills. And all the ones that love me, they just left me on the shelf. Farewell, before I save someone else. I've got to save myself. 'Cause if I don't, then I go back to where I'm rescuing a stranger. Just because they needed saving, just like that, I'm hearing it. Between the devil and the danger. Just because they needed saving, my dad was wrong. I'm not like my mom. 'Cause she just smiled and I'm complaining in a song. But it helps. Before I save someone else, I've got to save myself. One day I'll get all this shit out my lungs and I will be able to meditate and I will be happy and not be whatever this is. I don't like this either. All these haters, I'm like, I don't like this either, man. I don't like it either, man. Good night. I'm going to sleep. Thanks for